Let's blast off. The Macy's, thank you for the playlist. Any news on Misinfo Nation? No, I don't know. Kamala's talking about Gaza right now? Shut the fuck up, really?
For Israel to defend itself.
Yo, all right, we're going right into it. I'm blasting off.
Are at odds with what Benjamin Netanyahu has said is their right to defense. If it matters, as you say, how Israel defends itself, where do you see the line between aggression and defense and our power as Israel's ally?
That's such a good question.
To do something.
Uh-oh.
Okay, a lot to unpack in what you just said. So let's start with this. I absolutely believe that this war has to end, and it has to end as soon as possible. And the way that will be achieved is by getting a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. And we are working around the clock to achieve that end. Stepping back, October 7, 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered, and actually and some Americans, by the way, in that number, slaughtered. Young people who were attending a concert, women were horribly raped. And yes, so I have said, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would.
But Madam Vice President, I think my ask is the difference between aggression and defense.
Yeah, it's important to put it in context.
Yeah, what is going on? Dude, ABC's been correct on this shit, bro. ABC is kind of out of control.
Far too
That's the ABC woman, right?
Palestinians have been killed.
Push her.
Women and children.
Get her ass. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. David Muir and the entire cast of ABC journalists, I will kiss all of you in the mouth.
Agree that not only must we end this war, but we have to have a goal of a two-state solution, because there must
Bro, she just keeps repeating the same line. I'm losing my mind.
In as much as what we do in our goal is to ensure that Israelis have security and
Bro, she's such a bot. She's such a fucking robot, dude.
Have self-determination and dignity.
This is literally like Joe Biden level dementia.
To support Palestinians in their right to self-determination. And is it even possible as Israel's ally?
Well, absolutely. I will tell you, I have been actively involved in, for example, meeting not only with
I'm not gonna use this one yet. Hold on.
To talk about how we can construct a day after scenario where we participate in ensuring those exact goals that I outlined, including as part of the principles that should be applied to those goals, that there be no reoccupation of Gaza, that there be no changing of the territorial lines in Gaza, that there be an ability to have security in the region for all concerned in a way that we create stability, and let us also recognize in a way that ensures that Iran is not empowered in this whole scenario in terms of the peace and stability of the region.
This is ass.
But absolutely, the United States of America absolutely has a role, which is why we have been active, in particular with the Qataris and the Egyptians, around attempting to
she's so bad at this.
And get it done as quickly as possible.
She's so bad at this.
To follow up really quickly, is there a specific policy change that you, as President of the United States, would say you would do that would
Here,
help
we're
this
blasting
along?
off.
You've
Let the
gotten
people
a lot
know.
of credit for emphasizing the humanity of Palestinians. But what I often hear from folks is that there's no policy change that either you or President Biden have gone and said they would do. Is there a specific policy change as president that you would do in our helping of Israel?
We need to get this deal done, and we need to get it done immediately, and that is my position, and that is my policy. We need to get this deal done.
But in the way that we send weapons, in the way that we interact as their allies, are there specific policy changes?
Well, Eugene, for example, one of the things that we have done that I am entirely supportive of is the pause that we've put on the bombs. And so there is some leverage that we have had and used. But ultimately, the thing that is everything else in that region is getting this deal done. And I'm not going to disclose private conversations, but I will tell you, I've had direct conversations with the Prime Minister, with the President of Israel, with Egyptian leaders, and with our allies. And I think we've made ourselves very clear this deal needs to get done in the best interest of everyone in the region, including getting those hostages out who I mean, we saw the latest example of what happened with the six most recently, one of whom was an American citizen.
But what do you say to those that say that's not enough, that stopping the 2,000-pound bombs the one time wasn't enough, that this administration, your possible administration, has to do more?
Well, we are doing the work of putting the pressure on all parties involved to get the deal done. But let me be very clear also.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
I support Israel's ability to defend itself.
Yeah,
I support the need for Palestinians to have dignity, self-determination, and security as we move forward and get a two-state deal done. But right now, the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and this ceasefire deal. We need a ceasefire. We need the hostage deal.
I want to switch gears to racial justice, Madam Vice President. Last month, you eulogized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee's signature bill, one of a few, was H.R. 40, which would create a commission
didn't stop her
to
on
study
this.
the history of U.S. slavery and study the issue of reparations. She introduced H.R. 40 every session of Congress, taking up the mantle from Congressman John Conyers. This is a bill that you have co-sponsored as a U.S. Senator. Yet, this has, despite the fact that this has been, similar commissions have been created on the state level and on the local level, is yet to pass in Congress, let alone come out of committee. Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, Sheila Jackson Lee, she was an extraordinary leader who we just recently lost, and she was a friend and a real champion for so many issues. So I feel compelled to say that about her. On the issue of what we need to do.
I'm telling you, I've had multiple people who know better than me that she's gagged by the
about
state at the
history,
moment.
in spite of the fact
No.
that some people who try to
No,
erase
she's a
history
fucking bot, dude.
and try and
No
teach our
way.
children otherwise.
No way. She just repeats the same shit over and over again. And she wanted to be like, a pause on bombs. We did that once.
Our history?
No way.
In terms of the generational
No
impact
way.
of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on. These are facts that have had impact. And we need to speak truth about it.
She's
And we
like
need to speak
off
truth about it
script.
in a
She's,
way
by the way,
to derive a
straight up.
solution. And frankly, I think that we, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can
It's
do
like
right
alarming
now is,
how
for
bad she
example,
is
what I'm
off
talking
script.
about in terms of building an opportunity economy, which is addressing explicitly the obstacles.
No, it's
that
not ABC. It's
historically
not.
and
I
currently
thought it was the
exist.
ABC journalist, but
And
Eugene
dealing
Daniels
with
is
them.
the
Student
goat
loan
that was
debt,
like pushing.
medical debt,
And Tanya Mosley
bias
asked
in
some
home
pretty good questions
appraisals.
too.
What we need
But
to
I
do
think
in
it was
terms of
Eugene
dealing
Daniels
with
that fucking
an issue
pushed
that
it,
I
right?
have championed for years, Black maternal mortality, which is the fact that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women. And we know that the reasons for that include disparities that pre-exist her
I'm
pregnancy.
not gonna lie, I never thought
including
someone from the Y Network and fucking Politico
those things
would
must
be
be
the most adversarial questions that this administration has faced thus far on fucking Israel.
Congress ultimately
It's literally like
have
Joe
the
Biden doing a
ability
complex
to do this
interview
work.
and then getting questions
not
about like,
discounting the
not even
importance of
complex,
any
because like
executive action
Politico
that
is
comes
obviously a very serious
you're
like
gonna talk
institution.
about it in an
It's just they're
substantial
very
way,
right
there will
wing,
be hearings,
which is
there
why
will
it's
be,
shocking to me that a Politico journalist
public
did that.
education and dialogue that, and I think that was part of the spirit behind the congressional action thus far, to ensure that everyone can participate in this conversation in a way that elevates
Why is the affiliate, right?
knowledge
Like I think
about
why
history
for a second
and
I
the
thought why was
reference points that
OWN,
have,
but I think why
that are the
Philadelphia is
impetus
the
of this conversation.
public media for Pennsylvania,
again,
Delaware,
when
New
people are
Jersey. Like
trying to
that's not a
deny
joke.
history.
That's like
When
that's
people
that's public
are,
radio.
so-called leaders
That's solid.
are saying that
So
enslaved
that's
people
not
benefited from
surprising that it's
slavery.
Tanya
I mean,
Mosley
let's
was
talk
the one
about
who
the
was like
delta here
asking
in terms
those
of the work
those
done.
questions. But like
profound.
Politico is pretty right wing, you know.
I want to move to Ohio, and what's
Since
happening.
when are they
there.
right-wing?
We
Not
see
my
school
experience,
closures,
actually
parents
curious.
worried about their kids
Fuck you,
leaving
me.
the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I
Yes.
won't repeat
Yes.
here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and.
Well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame. I mean,
Say
my
it.
heart breaks.
Say you're the daughter of immigrants.
for this
Say
community.
immigrants are the backbone of this country. Please say
there
anything.
were,
Please.
Children, elementary school children, who it was.
Bro, this dude
It
is
was
cooking, by the way.
school photo
They both
day.
are. Eugene and Tanya, you are my
You remember what
goats.
that's like? Going to school on picture day,
Oh, shit, he follows me.
who were dressed up in their best, got all ready,
gonna
knew
DM
what
him
they were
right
gonna wear
now.
the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children. A whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, I learned a long time ago in my career, having
I
a
just
background
DM'd him to
as a
say thank you.
prosecutor.
That's it. That's all I said.
When you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage of my career that the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison. As Attorney General, I was of California, fifth largest economy in the world. I was acutely aware that my words could move markets. When you
This is the
are
most boring way to tackle the
bestowed
subject
with a
matter. Okay,
microphone that
notes
is
on
that
this.
big,
This is so fucking boring. Just
There is
say
a
this is a
profound
goddamn
responsibility that
pogrom,
comes with
okay? They are doing blood
There is an
libel.
extension
Please
which
just
not be lost
say
in this moment,
they're
this
being
concept of the
ridiculous.
public
They're being
trust.
weird. They are trying to invoke
To
hate.
then
They want you to hate your
Understand
neighbors.
what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust.
And then flip
be
it back to,
responsible in the way you
remember
use
the
your words,
fucking
much less how you
past.
conduct yourself.
A lot of people forgot what it felt like in your heart to live
especially
under the Trump
when you
administration.
have been and then seek to
We
be
still
again
obviously,
president of the United States of America.
don't like Trump. A lot of Americans don't like Trump. But people forgot
And so I go
how
back to, it's a
frustrating it
challenge.
was for millions of people
to
with
those
no
children
sense
in
of
the
reality
community,
to
not
feel
to
so emboldened in this way.
What is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious
That's the
threats
worst
that are being
angle.
issued
Who
against
gives a fuck about cops, man? Oh my God.
living a productive, good
These
life
are
before this
people.
happened.
They're black people
and
too.
spewing
Like
lies
you're a black woman. You
that
are the
are
daughter of
grounded in
immigrants.
tropes
They are
that are
trying to incite a
age-old.
race riot
I said
against
it not very
black
far from here
immigrants.
the other day at the
Please,
debate.
who gives a fuck about the police resources?
This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, whether it is refusing to rent to people,
This is a
rent to
free
black
question.
families,
This is literally
whether
free.
it is taking out a
okay?
full-page ad
This
in
is
the
free.
New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park 5, calling
What
for
are
their
you doing?
execution.
Oh my God, she's literally a bot,
Whether it
bro.
is
She is
referring to
actually
the
a
first
fucking
black president
bot.
of the United States with a lie, birther lies.
Talk about the current shit. Talk
The
about the current
American
shit.
people
Talk about the current
deserve,
shit.
and I do believe want better
Talk
than
about
this.
the current
I do
shit.
believe that. I know. The vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that.
She cannot.
I know.
She
that
cannot,
regardless
gun
of
to her
someone's
fucking
background,
head,
their race,
say
their
she wants to
gender, their
defend immigrants.
geographic location,
She can't.
I know
She
that
cannot.
people are
That's why
deeply
she's
troubled
talking about like,
by
oh,
what is
Trump is
happening to
being
that
racist.
community
Remember
in
when he did the
Springfield?
Central Park 5 ad? That's from
And
like
it's gotta
1994, man. What the
And
fuck are
we
you
gotta
talking
say
about?
that you cannot be entrusted with standing
She
behind the seal
cannot
of the President of the
fucking
United
say it.
States of America, engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us. as a-
Verbatim
is
repeating debate
designed
lines, and
to
trying to
have people
fit them
point
into
at
this
each other.
conversation,
It's
a dynamic
designed to do
conversation with journalists
And I
who
think
are
most
obviously
people in our
very
country,
smart and very
regardless of their
thoughtful,
race,
this is not
are
going to
starting
fly.
to see through this nonsense and to say, you know what, let's turn the page on
For
this. This
chatters
is
who are saying like
exhausting.
she's a fascist, she believes this. No, come on, bro. No,
it's hateful.
don't be fucking deluded, okay? Like,
and grounded in
again,
some
she
angels.
is not Hillary Clinton, okay?
we should
She is
not
literally
have to
a
tolerate.
fucking black woman.
So
Of
let's
course,
turn the
she
page
is
and
not
find
like
a way
straight
forward
up,
and say, you know what?
genuinely a firm believer that like immigrants are causing like massive problems in this country. Are you insane? Her father and her mother are immigrants. What the fuck? It doesn't matter that she was a prosecutor. Come on, dude. There are certain parts of your identity and your development that are so formative that like you're not gonna fucking deny it. Like she's not fucking Candace Owens, okay? Calm down.
Homicides and violent crime.
It is mind-boggling how cowardly she is on this issue, okay? That's what it is. This isn't like genuinely Kamala Harris is a firm believer that Haitians are eating cats. That's why she can't talk on it. No, she's a fucking coward. That's why she won't talk on it. No, it's not. It's much more frustrating. I promise you it's much more frustrating. Okay? She's weak as fuck on this issue because she's scared.
Assault weapons
Okay?
are designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly.
Yeah, look at how
And have no place-
decisive
and
she
have
is
no
on
place-
this.
I'm gonna get-
Look at how
and have
decisive
no
she is on
place
assault weapons.
on the streets of
Okay?
civil society.
Look at
We need
she
universal
stands
background checks.
on business when it
Which,
comes to
to your
shit
point about
that the
handguns,
Democratic Party as a
about
machine have decided
saying
are
that
our
it is
issues
just
and we're going to
reasonable
fucking we are going to we're gonna
reasonable gun safety laws
we are
that
going to
say
assume
we
a
should
position
do
on this and we're going to
background
hammer
checks,
it.
but we
Think
ought to
about
know
the
it's just
difference in the
reasonable.
energy
You might
between
wanna
this
know
and the last
before
statement.
someone can buy a lethal weapon, if they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others,
Like, I don't believe for a moment that she gives a fuck about Palestinians, okay? If you were to ask me, like, secretly behind closed doors, is she, like, super pro-Palestine and can't say it? Fuck no. I don't think she gives a single goddamn shred of a fuck, okay? But on the issue of migrants, like, bro, she's literally the product of migrants. There is 0% chance that she genuinely believes that, like, immigrants are doing crime. She doesn't believe it. She doesn't believe it, but she's too much of a fucking coward to openly say it. Why? Because she saw the polls. She saw the polls where 60% of Americans want mass deportations, and she is fucking terrified. And her handlers have told her never to make a single peep about this. Do not come across as though you're pro-immigrant. This is going to be the massive issue that the Republicans will clobber you on. Be as right-wing as possible on this issue. That is a mistake. That is a mistake that the Democratic Party has been repeating over and over and over and over again. These are lies, okay? The Republican Party is lying.
each entry point in the issue, including
Fuck. Please talk about the Lebanon attacks. I am going to literally explode my pager, okay? I'm going to go purchase a pager and explode it. Shut the fuck up. We're going to obviously get to it, okay?
crime, but prevention of crime. So you're raising a very important issue that has many facets, including what we need to do in terms of reasonable gun safety laws and what we need to do around crime prevention. what we
Also,
need
the
to
top
do
of the
around
hour
crime
ad break is about to
deterrence. But
explode
listen,
in your face
I have
unless you
personally
subscribe.
prosecuted homicide cases.
For
I
$3,
held
she
them
doesn't
up,
seem to care
hands
about the
of
polls in
mothers
Gaza. Yeah, there's a higher
come to
order
me
there.
crying,
There's a
who
higher
said,
priority there, which is the State Department interest, which is obviously the interests of moneyed donors that are donating to the Democratic Party. The fact that she's terrified that the media will actually push back on her if she were to switch positions on Gaza. Like, those are all things that she thinks will rock the boat. I am telling you, those things would rock the boat in a positive direction, not in a negative direction. But it doesn't fucking matter, okay?
It's real. It has had a profound impact in terms of trauma that, for the most part,
Here's a
has gone
3-minute ad break now.
undiagnosed and untreated. The trauma that exists in communities.
I get what you're saying about her feelings
around
on
the
immigrants, but I bet
violence
she has
of
very strong
losing
feelings
their
on criminal
children,
immigrants.
losing
Nah,
a brother,
fuck that.
losing a father and uncle. All of that must be
Every
addressed, and we
adult
have to have a
in this
holistic
country
response
that
to
is
it.
invested in
haven't thought
politics
about
knows
yet,
that it's a
because every
fucking
time we
lie,
bring
that
up this issue
the
of gun
idea that like
violence,
migrants are
universal
doing
background
an
checks
insane
comes
amount of
up,
crimes is a fucking
and
lie.
a
They just
ban
know
on
that
assault
anecdotes are very powerful and they can't deal with it, okay? They can't deal with those anecdotes that are too good. They're too good for political messaging. Same shit happened with crime, dude. Same exact shit happened with crime.
With the president, we were able to pass the first meaningful gun safety legislation in 30 years. And part of what that involved was millions and millions of dollars to put more mental health counselors in public schools, right? Because we know that there is an aspect of this.
But do you
that
think
is
she's
about
just
treating
scared
the
until she's
trauma
elected? Fuck no.
and dealing with it at its
Chad, you need to understand something. Democrats don't legislate a more progressive agenda than they claimed when they're running. They do the exact opposite. Okay? They actually legislate in the opposite direction. They legislate to the fucking middle and they still lose.
resources into community-based intervention that is not
Anyway,
just
let's listen.
requiring on the
Sorry.
good people in the community to volunteer to do the intervention, but actually paying people to do it because it's a full-time job. It's about understanding what we need to do to, again, understand that, to your point, we have to have a holistic response to this issue and prioritize it instead of reacting to the tragedy that, sadly, they are too predictable. Let's all agree, enough of that. There are very few solutions that we haven't thought of. We need to put the resources into them.
Madam Vice President, we want to move to the topic of reproductive access, something
Yeah.
that you have worked and leading on both for the administration, Democrats, and now the top of the ticket. You've said that as president, you would want to codify Roe. If it came to your desk, you would sign a bill that did that. Roe protected access until fetal viability, which it also says is, quote, at about 7 months, but it may occur earlier, even at 24 weeks. So do you similarly support also codifying Roe's restrictions, which allowed states to ban abortion in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy unless necessary to save the mother's life?
We need to put the protections of Roe v. Wade back into law. And when that bill gets passed by Congress, I will proudly sign it into law. Understand what is happening in our country. Over 20 states have passed what I call Trump abortion bans because I understand how we got here. The former president handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. They did as he intended, and in state after state, laws have been passed criminalizing healthcare providers. I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia. Tragic story about a young woman who died because it appears the people who should have given her health care were afraid they'd be criminalized after the Dobbs decision came down. Laws that make no exception even for rape or incest, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. An approach that doesn't take into account that most people, I think, agree you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government or Donald Trump telling her what to do about her own body and her life. So that's where I stand. We need to put back in place the protection of Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade and let an individual, in consultation with her doctor, make the decision based on what she can determine, because she's smart enough to know what's in her best interest instead of having her government tell her what to do, especially a bunch of people in these state capitals who think they're in a better position to tell her what to do than she is to know what's in her best interest.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President, Joyful Warrior has been used to describe
You
your
didn't see that just a minute ago, though. Okay, I'm back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have at times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people.
I get the haters, but there's no shot that you can expect Trump not to exponentially make everything worse in terms of foreign policy and women's rights. Man, I'm sick and tired of having this fucking conversation every goddamn election cycle. A lot of you say, oh, we want to vote for the Democrats because at least they'll listen to you, when they're literally in the process of not listening to you. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Just say you want your team to win and you don't actually give a fuck and you have no like ownership stake over what happens in this country, and you're just going to wake up one day and we're going to be doing not 99% Hitler, but 100% Hitler. And you're going to be like, how did this happen? Okay, that's it. I'm not having a conversation about harm reduction right now. Okay, yes, Trump will make things exponentially worse. I know he already is making things exponentially worse, and he's not even the fucking president right now. What I demand from the counterbalance to that is an adequate defense against like racial animus that the Trump Republicans are running on right now.
You want to give us some intel?
Sure. I checked on to
Like,
see if
dude, Biden is fucking president. Like, we had 4 years of the Democratic establishment running the show, and that's when the abortion rights were taken away. Okay? How do you not see that, like, the machine is spinning in this direction where they are openly being like, listen, it's a big tent party, but you're not fucking in it. Okay? You're not in the tent. What are you going to do? Not vote for us? Suck my dick. That's basically the opinion that the Democratic Party has in terms of, like, people who are just like, please fight back against this shit. What are you doing?
January 6th, your vehicle was allowed to kind of pass a viable pipe bomb.
No, I was in the building.
You were in the building.
I've never said that it wouldn't be good for Trump to lose, by the way. You are making a point that I've never made. I despise Donald Trump, okay? You are trying to actively make a point that I'm not making because you don't want to address the point that I am making. You're sidestepping the actual point and instead focusing on a thing that I never said. Okay? That's it. That's not what I'm talking about right now. Also, that's why I always reiterate to all the liberals in the chat, don't worry, Kamala Harris most likely is going to win anyway. Okay? Because the Trump campaign is objectively bad. Like, they're running a bad campaign. They are not doing a good job. Okay? They're doing a really bad job. Trump losing and conservatives being less racist would actually be really good for minorities. I'm sorry, but it's crazy to say it wouldn't be good for him to lose is fucking idiotic. I never said that. Okay?
Lift people up and not beat people down so they feel alone and are made to feel small and made to feel like they're somehow not a part of it or us.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I've appreciated this. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, like the one here, I'll tell you this much. In terms of her like scared posture, listen, as a Hassan contracted RFK brainworm, what are you talking about? Very smart. You get it, Hassan. Hassan brain rot. As you say, you don't give a fuck. Wow, great point, man. Thanks. So true, Hassan. Great point. What is happening? Are you the one with the brain rot? All you were doing is just asking Democrats to be more proactive on progressive issues and appropriately combat racist talking points. I don't know how this is so hard for some chatters to understand. Because American politics, unfortunately, okay, the reality is American politics is ultimately a game of team sportsmanship. There is no real like material change happening. The only thing you can hope is the expectation that like you maybe push the actual pain 4 years down the line. Okay, that's it. So the people that are hyper focused on politics are almost always going to talk about like the minor differences in between either party because it's just ultimately powerless. Like not a single person in this chat is voting for Kamala Harris because they think that like the $50,000 in tax cuts that she will offer to startups is phenomenal. And that's like what their expectation is. They're not doing that. They're not voting for Kamala Harris for that reason. They are voting against Donald Trump. They are voting against the Republican Party. Okay? This puts the Democratic Party on unstable ground. Okay? You cannot always run against the Republicans. You have to run for things if you want to win decisively. Every single conversation that we have in terms of me being so frustrated about Kamala Harris being, a serial underperformer or being legitimately, genuinely bad on certain issues is at the behest of the Democratic Party launching a convincing program, okay? Launching a convincing narrative against the Republicans. And it's not necessarily just that I want them to do this because there is also a positive for the Democrats in terms of the election. Okay. These are legitimately popular ideas. Okay. But beyond that, they're also good. They're good for the people. Even if they weren't popular, I want them to have a little bit of fucking backbone. But I don't even have to make that case because these are popular ideas. Criticizing harm reduction for being one long conservative ultimatum doesn't equal I want gays to die. I know. Is there any points that Kamala can improve on? She's already hitting pretty good on. I mean, gun control. She's solid on that. She's reliable. On abortion, there is no like real pathway to success there. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. It's a defensive posture for her, and she uses that pretty well, right? Those are two key issues where she's just like pretty solid on. But on her economic policies, like, it's all fucking tax cuts and deregulation. It's like mind numbing to me. Like, let's hear some shit about healthcare, you know? What's really frustrating is the New York Times did the New York Times thing for the Daily where they went and talked to Trump supporters. Okay? They talked to one Trump supporting family and, well, two Trump supporters that are undecided. Now, of course, they never talk to leftists who are undecided. Obviously, that would be ridiculous. God forbid they ever fucking interview someone who's like, I'm an Arab living in fucking Dearborn and half of my family has been wiped out by my tax dollars. God forbid. They would never do that. Okay? Of course. But they talk to these Trump supporters and this family of like educators in Pennsylvania, I believe, were like, I'm undecided. Okay? I'm undecided. And I don't know, I don't know who to vote for. And it's like after the debate, like they talk, they chirp, and they're still voting for Trump at the end of it. I was listening to it and I was just like, dude, what the fuck? This right here is a perfect demonstration. Like Kamala Harris is rolling out the red carpet for these people and they still want to vote for Trump. I fucking hate that, man. I hate that is like who they want to win over, more than people who previously voted for the Democratic Party that are saying, I might not vote for the Democratic Party. I might not vote at all. I voted for Trump in 2016. I voted for Trump in 2020. I am now undecided. I will be voting for Trump in 2024 again. I also still believe that Trump is the president. It's like, okay, that's not like, why are we making it seem like that's the voter that Kamala Harris has to win over? Like she's right at the fucking margin. Then there's the other lady who's like the other lady on the Daily, New York Times Daily, was like reluctantly saying she's going to vote for Kamala Harris because Trump was utterly disgusting on the debate stage. Okay. Like so obviously anti-woman that it even pissed her off. Okay. So obviously. And it's like, but even then she was like, I already had my children. I have other issues. I am, I want to hear what she has, what kind of plan she has for people who either already own small businesses or work for small businesses. And it's like she's not even doing a good job winning those people over because she doesn't have like any sort of coherent agenda. Like the expansion of the child tax credit is a gimme, okay? In a normal campaign, that's like the 8th most consequential policy point that you should be advancing, especially because that's something that you already presented. It was objectively popular and the Republicans stopped it. That's a gimme. You win back the office. You push that in instantaneously. You could put that in a fucking budget bill. You need like simple majority to pass it. It will pass. That's not even a question, right? Talk about some bold, dare I say, radical economic progress. Oh, it's very, very frustrating. And before people go, didn't you use the harm reduction argument in 2020 though? It doesn't fucking matter, dickhead. I used it in 2016 as well. But what did I always tell you back in 2020 and also in 2016? Harm reduction, while theoretically correct, does not change the dynamic that the Democrats are not changing the outcome. Democrats are not invested in making this a better country for people. Okay? It doesn't matter. I said the same shit. I said the same shit in 2020. Ironically enough, the 2020 platform was pro-immigration at least. And it took me, and according to chatters that figured this out, I didn't even know It took me 2 months or 2.5 months to start bouldering the fucking Biden agenda because they went back on their fucking promises immediately. It was only pro-immigration because kids were literally in cages. No, dude, it was pro-immigration because kids were in cages and Americans were genuinely disgusted. Americans were genuinely disgusted by the way that that the Trump administration was doing insanely right-wing white nativist immigration policies, anti-immigrant policies. So it polled better. The country, by and large, was considering this to be abhorrent, morally repugnant. But in the 4 years under the Brandon administration, when the Democrats ran a right-wing anti-immigrant slant as well, out of fears that they would look fucking weak, dog. If one more person asked me about the fucking Israeli act of terror on Lebanese people, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Look at this screen. It says at least 8 dead after wireless devices explode across Lebanon, Hezbollah says. Okay? Yes, dude. It's right here. Okay? Israel did a mass cyber attack on not just like militants, but also political officials as well. It's literally on screen. I don't know why the fuck you guys are acting like I'm secretly not covering it. It's in the title, but you don't know how to read. It's in front of you on screen and you still don't want to read. Yeah, the injury numbers are over 2,000. Oh my God, it's so fucked up. Anyway, did you see JD Vance tweet saying that Ryan Ruth donated to only Dems and only voted Dems? Did we not find that to be the opposite the other day? I don't see any tabs open saying otherwise. Dog, Ryan Ruth himself literally said he voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, JD Vance is lying again. Who cares? He lies all the time. Bro, I'm Lebanese and these chatters are being super impatient. Yeah, I don't know why people are being fucking really annoying about this story in particular. Israel is begging to go into war in Lebanon. Okay, begging. They drop flyers to threaten. Lebanon with an invasion. They did this shit. It's a mass terror attack. That's what it is, by the way. And it's being celebrated as a fucking epic move. I just want you to understand what they did is a breach of international law. Once again, just so you understand, it is completely illegal. What they did is unconscionable, just a straight up act of terrorism. But of course, that's all Israel does. Israel does as much terrorism as they want to do, and ain't nobody fucking can say a goddamn thing about it. Okay? I don't know, maybe because Thousand Pockets, how is that not the main news for you? Okay, take a week off, you absolute fucking baboon, okay? I'm literally in the process of covering the story, and this guy is mad that I'm not covering the story that I'm currently covering, because not only are you a baboon who is incapable of reading the words that are in front of you, you apparently do not understand the English language, because I'm currently communicating to you that I'm covering the story, and you're mad at me for not covering the story, okay? What the fuck is going on? Now let's take a look at how epic the media is covering this epic act of mass terror.
His Ministry of Public Health says at least 8 people are dead and roughly 2,700 more injured after a number of pagers.
The numbers have increased since this story came out.
Exploded. CCTV shows the moment one explosion happened at a supermarket in Beirut. One man was knocked to the ground. And here's a look at Beirut now, where Hezbollah says the causes of those explosions are still unknown. But they say the pagers were owned.
They're here to debate you whether there's a bomb inside the pagers. No joke. They stun-locked Mike for 1 hour earlier. I'm not a fucking, like, bomb expert, dude. I don't fucking know if there were bombs in the goddamn pagers or if they, like, overloaded the pagers enough that they exploded. I don't know. Okay? I have no idea. And I don't even care about whether they actually fucking snuck bombs into the pagers or if they somehow were able to overload the pagers enough that they exploded, because guess what? Either or, it still is an act of fucking terror, like mass terror, with the intent to cause chaos and kill as many people as possible, or at least maim them in a country that Israel is not actively fighting against.
By a number of workers in various Hezbollah units and institutions. I want to bring in foreign correspondent Tom Sufi Burge in Paris, along with ABC News contributor, former senior CIA field operative Daryl Blocker for more. Tom, what's the latest?
Yeah, Diane, this appears to be a highly sophisticated and widespread attack across...
Yeah, super sophisticated Israel is fucking small bean, but also very moral and very responsible in the way that they're doing mass terror here in Lebanon, where I'm standing in front of civilians. Very nice.
Lebanon. Lebanon's health ministry now saying 2,750 people injured in this attack, including 200 of those people critically injured. We're seeing video which is too graphic to show you of catastrophic.
Yeah, hey, by the way, if you want to understand whether something is like immoral and unconscionable, imagine if Russia did this in Ukraine. That way, you will very quickly recognize how the media would react. Okay? If Russia did this in Ukraine, literally everyone would understandably go, what the fuck are you doing? This is just mass terrorism. Holy shit. And it's not even in Ukraine, actually. If Russia was doing this in fucking Poland, all right? And we don't actually have to analyze or speculate, because guess what? Russia does do this to their own political dissidents every now and then. Never to this degree. Never this widespread, actively targeting thousands of fucking people that are like among civilians. You know what I mean?
Catastrophic injuries to a number of individuals in multiple hospitals across Lebanon. They're saying that 8 people have been killed in the attack, including a 10-year-old girl. We've had now 2 statements from Hezbollah, that Iranian-backed proxy group based in Lebanon. They are saying 2 of their members are amongst the 8 people.
Okay, first of all, it's not just a proxy group based in Lebanon. It's also a fucking political party, dude. What the fuck? Oh my God. Well, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. Dog, if Hezbollah is a terrorist organization, America is the top terrorist organization, which it is, by the way. America is the top dog in terrorism, and so is Israel. What the fuck are you talking about? No, what you meant to say is Hezbollah is Muslim, okay? That's what you meant to say. What you meant to say is they're Muslim. So, of course, as they're Muslim, it's different. They're Muslim. It's so funny to say, well, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization when we are covering a story about Israel openly taking credit over exploding fucking pagers directly in a country that they're not in war with right now, okay, around civilians. Like, you would justify 9/11 if Israel did it to another country, straight up at that point. They killed a fucking 8-year-old, man, or a 10-year-old. You might be brain dead, but we already knew this. Come on, brother. Come on, dude. Is this the only thing you got? Is this actually the only thing you got? You can't speak out on the atrocities that Israel does in Gaza. So now it's like a new debate position that like they deserved it. They all have to fucking, everyone that is in the vicinity of Israel needs to die. Is that your actual argument? Just go back to watching your fucking pro-genocide debate, Lord, please. Just leave and go watch that. Okay? Holy fuck, dude. The Hasbara bots are clowns. Ignore it. I don't even think this is a Hasbara bot. I think this is just like a fucking serial debate guy. That's probably what it is.
Killed in this attack, and Hezbollah is saying that what happened is at about 3:30 in the afternoon local time in Lebanon, pager devices, remember those are devices that can receive messages but not calls, effectively exploded. So members of Hezbollah carrying pagers, we've seen videos confirming this, that appear to show individuals looking down towards what
I feel like people don't look at this with nuance, regardless of their position. Should civilians have been hurt during this attack? It's okay since it was meant to target militants. It's not. Like, dude. Like, imagine. First of all, there are certain rules about like how you can conduct international war, and the rules are there so that it doesn't happen to you either. Okay? You can't always run with the assumption that like our guns are better, our cyber terrorism is better, so we get to do it and they get to do nothing in return. This is one of those rules. You cannot mass explode communication devices used by fucking civilians. De facto terrorism, since many of the people whose pagers were blown up are not military targets, but civilian members of the political wing of Hezbollah, and the chaos it caused, for example, if the victims were driving or in a crowded area, it could mean more random civilian deaths. It is directly an act of terrorism, okay? It's directly an act of terrorism in not a war zone, mind you, okay? You can just say that they're Muslim, so they deserved it all day, every day, but it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. I'm from Lebanon. The pagers are available for everyone. My cousin had one too. He works as a nurse. Fortunately, she did not hold it in her hands. The absolute majority of casualties are civilians, over 4,000 already. Like, this is insane, dude. This is insane. I don't care about Hezbollah members. No civilian would use a pager, dog. Are you fucking stupid, dude? What do you mean no civilian would use a pager? The civilians that use pagers are doctors and nurses, you fucking idiot. What the fuck are you talking about? Hospitals still use them, you dumb fuck. Bro, I get it. Like, in order to defend the Israeli genocide and the Israeli apartheid regime, like, you have to basically fucking bludgeon your head multiple times in an effort to fucking arrive at a position that what Israel is doing is good. But like, you can't be this stupid, okay? What's the link to Israel not being contentious? I mean, they straight up took ownership over it. Oh, this is some of the most disgusting shit I've ever heard. Just completely random 9/11. Yeah. It's not indistinguishable from terrorism, says Sturgeon's Law. There is no better way to describe it. Here's Edward Snowden's take on it. And here's Yusuf's take on it as well. Yusuf Munayer. The apparent Israeli mass cyber attack in Lebanon that detonated cellular devices and pagers is a grave violation of international human law and opens a dangerous Pandora's box. Almost every human is a walking, ticking bomb, and it won't be long before this tech will be used by many actors. That's the other side of this process, okay? The other side of this yeah, I'm going to talk about the fucking racist asshole in a second, okay? Calm down. We're going to get there. How long before dissidents targeted by Putin, Modi, KSA, Iran, Israel, and many others fall prey to such an assassination tactic? No need to poison tea anymore. Parents in Lebanon, just like parents all over the world, let their kids play with their phones from time to time. How many Lebanese kids did Israel blow up today with their gimmicks? What Israel has done is, via any method, reckless. They blow up countless numbers of people who were driving, meaning cars out of control, shopping. Your children are in a stroller standing behind them in the checkout line. Indistinguishable from terrorism because it is terrorism. It's not indistinguishable from terrorism. It is an act of terror. Okay? As information comes in about the exploding beepers in Lebanon, it seems now more likely that not to be implanted explosives, not a hack. Why? Too many consistent, very serious injuries. If it were overheated batteries exploding, you'd expect many more small fires and misfires. Sky News Arabia reports that the pagers were packed with a small amount of PETN, which was detonated by raising battery temperatures. So it seems like, at least according to Sky News Arabia, initial sources say that there was a quantity of highly explosive PETN that was placed on the device's battery and detonated by raising the battery's temperature. Okay, so this was more targeted. This was more targeted than just like simply exploding the hundreds of thousands of pagers that are in use. Okay, and it's obviously not just like a battery explosion. However, the issue in this process is people fucking give away pagers. Okay, and not only that, but also people are driving cars. People are fucking, at the checkout line at the grocery store. When you're exploding fucking pagers randomly, okay, in an act of terror, you're killing a lot of people, including an 8-year-old. People are flying fucking planes. Like, imagine a Hezbollah dude, okay? A Hezbollah dude in Lebanon, a political operative, a civilian, right? Not a militant, but a political operative is on a fucking airplane. That airplane could be flying over any territory. That fucking pager explodes inside of that airplane. Not a small plane, like a straight up commercial airline. How many fucking civilians does Israel kill in that process? Think about that. Airplane explodes, the pager explodes inside of the fucking airplane. What happens? They don't get service in airplanes? You're wrong. They do. You're actually wrong. Did that happen? Or are you posing a hypothetical? I'm posing a hypothetical as to why there are rules around this sort of thing. What the fuck are you talking about? Al Jazeera saying that the pagers in the Israeli attack were indeed packed with explosives and were imported into Lebanese territory 5 months ago. And Axios says that the decision was made by the Israeli state to detonate the pagers a week ago. They're fucking flexing. They want to go to war with Lebanon. So they're trying to gear up for this war with Lebanon. They want to invade Lebanon. I don't know if you already covered this, but there were pagers that exploded in doctors' possessions. Yeah, of course. It makes fucking sense, dude. It makes total perfect sense. Like, you have no way of sneaking in pagers specifically for Hezbollah. You know that, right? And even if you did have a way, even if you did have a way of sneaking it and just giving it to only Hezbollah militants, generals, okay? You have no way of knowing that they're not around fucking random civilians. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? The cost of life is nothing for so many people, I think. As long as you're just, you know, a criminal automatically for being born in Lebanon, you're just a, you know, an unforeseeable consequence. Like, sorry, it's just collateral damage. Like, what the fuck? This is a mass scale attack. This is a mass act of terrorism. And it won't be long until this is used in a similar capacity against others who don't have the OPSEC for it, including but not limited to Israel. Yeah, blindsiding America as usual. The operation was approved earlier this week during security meetings with Prime Minister Netanyahu, senior members of his cabinet, and the heads of the security services. Israel didn't inform the Biden administration ahead of time. Yeah, they can do whatever the fuck they want, dog. They can do whatever they want. Whatever they want. No rules. No holds barred. It's a targeted attack, as you said, but dumbasses in chat don't realize that Hezbollah is a political party with a massive civil wing, with accountants and other normal people in membership. This is an act of terrorism, and it's pure Orientalism to say it's not. No, I'm saying even if they were exclusively somehow able to give pagers to like Hezbollah military members, okay? Even if they were able to like feed it just to the fucking Hezbollah militant commanders, exploding pagers like this when they are in civilian life, think about it, okay? If the reverse of this happened with the IDF, if you had like IDF soldiers, IDF generals, and their fucking pagers exploded, the entire world would be like, this is the most unimaginable act of terror, okay? This is so completely and utterly unacceptable. They're not actively in fucking combat. They're like literally going home. It's crazy. These are de facto, these are not enemy combatants, okay, under international law at that moment. This is an assassination. I cannot believe how much Israel has normalized just like murking whoever the fuck they feel like. This guy says political members of a military organization are legitimate targets. In fact, political members of organizations are more legitimate targets than the actual militants. One, international law doesn't sanction this idea. Two, Hezbollah's political operatives aren't political members of a military organization. They are the political party. Hezbollah is not itself a military organization. The political and paramilitary wings are separate entities. The separation in that situation is more apparent than even like the distinction between an American politician and the American military. Okay? Actually, it's not that different. It's the identical almost. Like, there was a dude that was caught on fucking tape, dude. He was in the supermarket. He's in the grocery store. Do you think this is all right? Like, think about it, dude. Think about it. Okay? Like, a bomb just explodes when you're at fucking checkout at Walmart because the dude in front of you bought a fucking dud pager. Like, you think that's all right? It fucking maims your daughter. It maims your son. You think that's you would be like, this is appropriate? No, you would not. You would not consider it to be appropriate at all. The only reason why you think it's permissible is because the victims are brown, dude. That's it. And no, for the record, you just said, if this doesn't outrage the public, our future isn't looking great. It's not going to, because the media is already celebrating how brilliant this is. Blowing up Hezbollah pagers would have been a game changer in an all-out war in Israel's favor, but they wasted this stunt now to try and put off a war they know they can't win. Israel's losing Gaza. The north is empty and Hezbollah is systematically destroying it. Netanyahu will do anything to secure any sort of victory to satisfy his rabid base. Even after this attack, Israel didn't achieve any of their main goals. That's the other part of this. Like, they did this. If they were to do this in the midst of like an operation, in the midst of like an on-the-ground, like straight-up invasion, that would be one thing. It would still be a foul act of terror, but at least it would actually have strategic importance, okay? And I wouldn't put it past Israel to do that. Having said that, not only is this an act of terror, an overt act of terror in violation of international laws, okay, it also was meaningless. It was meaningless. It was just to be like, it was just a flex to be like, hey guys, I know that we're not in favor anymore. Like our intelligence community is not what it once was, but like we still got it.
What appears to be a pager device and then the explosion. This appears to have been very widespread across multiple regions across Lebanon. And one of the victims, significantly, Diane, is, according to Iranian state TV, Iran's ambassador to Lebanon. So that's highly significant. Israel has not commented on this attack as things stand. We know, of course, for years, Israel has been conducting a shadow war against Iranian proxies in the region, including Hezbollah. And of course, it's been trading attacks across its northern border into southern Lebanon with Hezbollah for the best part of a year throughout the warring, as the war in Gaza continues. Israel does not comment on the attacks it can.
Hezbollah member, son of terror group MP. That means it was a politician, okay? As in, they exploded the pager of an MP, but a terror group MP, but an MP nonetheless. And they're like, it's like killing a congressperson and their son or daughter. A Reuters story from July details how Hezbollah, in the aftermath of Israel killing one of its top commanders, shifted even further away from cell phone communication. Hezbollah, Reuters reported at the time, was opting to go with the low-tech route of pagers. Cell phones, which can be used to track a user's location, have been banned from the battlefield in favor of more old-fashioned communication, including pagers and couriers who deliver verbal messages in person, two of the sources said. It's the greatest preemptive strike ever. Yeah, so was 9/11, bitch ass. Shut up. God damn, dude. I fucking hate these losers, dude. Oh my God. It's just no amount of terrorism that is responsible for bloodshed of innocence is going to be something that people go, this might be a bridge too far for me. Preemptive strike, you call it. Death toll officially is up to 11 and 4,000 wounded, like maimed. Wounded doesn't just mean like, oh, you have scratches, okay? It means like your shit got blown off, your hand, your arm, body parts.
Conducts in its near abroad, but the finger of suspicion, given the sophisticated nature of this attack, will be pointed towards Israel and Hezbollah. And a second statement I've just received is now saying that it holds Israel responsible and that this attack will not go, in its words, unpunished.
And Daryl, how does this even work? How do you turn a wireless device like a pager?
Yeah, we'll find out more about this. But by the way, like, there is no assurances that the pagers that you're selling only stay in the hands of Hezbollah. That's the other part of this process. Now, a more ethical thing you could possibly do in that situation is to put trackers in the fucking pagers, okay? And trace the pagers and ensure that they know, ensure that they fucking know where these guys are, where Hezbollah militants are, whatever, all this shit. But no, they don't want to do that because they want to blow shit up, because they don't give a fuck, because they know that no matter what happens, the Western media will back them. And also, the devices apparently were programmed to beep for several seconds before exploding, according to the officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the matter. Why would you want to do that? Well, it's because if it's on your desk and it starts beeping, you pick it up and you look at it so it fucking blows up in your face. Just so you understand the gross nature of this attack. Like intercepting a supply chain and fucking adding plastic explosives, like the chemicals used for like Semtex, is just unimaginable, dude. I am shocked at the cruelty of this. Yeah. They're also, by the way, breaking over 500 Hezbollah members lost their eyes today. Okay. When they say Hezbollah members, they're also talking about members of the parliament, okay? Like straight up politicians, for the record, just so you understand. They're not talking about just like militants and military wing of Hezbollah. This has to be considered a war crime. Yes, of course it's a war crime. But with Israel, it's basically yet another war crime that it gets to do, and not a single person will say anything about it. And if you do say something about it, you're a fucking idiot, and you should shut the fuck up because they deserve it. And that it is totally valid, totally permissible. Fuck you for ever saying anything. And now we get to do Fortnite dances on the corpses of fucking, Lebanese children too. And also I'm anti-Semitic. Can this be the final straw? No, dude. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you, Israel could fucking nuke Lebanon and they still wouldn't consider that to be far too much. Okay? Straight up. It's a terrifying prospect, but I legitimately believe this. A Lebanese security source tells Al Jazeera that the Hezbollah pages that exploded earlier today were imported to Lebanon 5 months ago. The report says the communication devices were rigged with up to 20 grams of explosive material. A separate report by the UAE-backed Sky News Arabia claims that the Mossad placed PETN, a powerful explosive material, on the batteries of the pagers and detonated them by raising the temperature. Now, the thing is, a lot of people say, oh, this is James Bond shit, not realizing, yeah, it's James Bond shit. It's the James Bond villain that does this, okay? There is no movie in which the intelligence communities that are supposed to be presented as the good guys would be exploding these fucking devices around civilians, okay? There's not a single fucking movie where the good guys would do that. It's the bad guys that would do that, okay? Just so you understand. How is anyone in the region supposed to look at this and go, Israel is literally a violent entity that is swinging at every single country that has the unfortunate consequence of being in its immediate fucking vicinity? Shocking.
Or a phone into an explosive.
So, Diane, I'm assuming that question was directed towards me. So the lithium batteries that are in some of these pagers are exploding all the time. You hear about them on planes. You hear about them overheating. That may be a part of it. But in order to basically take over an entire network, whether it's technologically or to physically gain access and put...
I'm Iranian, and all I will say is that Hezbollah is not just a little political party. They're the very embodiment of horrible acts based on extreme religious belief. Yeah, this is really funny to say when we're talking about fucking Israel, which just did a significantly worse horrible act. Just reverse the fucking role, Iranian man signing off from Langley, Virginia, and then you will understand the severity of the crime. If Hezbollah exploded fucking thousands of goddamn pagers inside of Israel and said, we're doing this for Islam, and if you criticize us, you're Islamophobic, everyone would turn around and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay? Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, what is this? What is this? Like, oh, they deserved it then. I guess, sorry, if you're Lebanese in the vicinity of a fucking, like, Lebanese politician from Hezbollah, okay, then you deserve to die too. Yeah. If the same was done to Israelis, BM is right, Israel would have called it a second 710, aka the third Holocaust, and would have been bombing all over Lebanon like crazy right now with the full backing of the entire world that would have been horrified of the unprecedented, atrocious terrorist attack against innocent Israelis. 100%. Like, that's in the middle of a supermarket, man. That's crazy. Like, you're fucking out of your goddamn mind. And that's the one that we have, like, direct footage of. There's kids there. There's elderly people there. What are you talking about? There's a kid in the shot. And fucking ultra Zionists are gloating on Twitter about this. They're like, hell yeah, baby. They're doing it. We
Devices,
did the damn thing.
Small pieces of debt cord inside of these things would be very, very difficult for 2,700 devices. So I think with time, we'll learn a little bit more.
All right, Tom Sufi Burridge, Darryl Blocker, thank you.
These are the first pictures into us showing people's pages exploding in Lebanon. Now, the government is urging people to get rid of their pages after this bizarre attack. Sources say pages belonging to members of the Iran-backed Hezbollah began exploding in areas where the group operates. Let's just watch this video again. This is video just into CNN. It shows the moment where pages exploded. This is in one of the markets, as you can see. All right, Ben, you were listening in on all these new lines that are coming in. Iran's ambassador to Lebanon injured in this attack, according to Iranian media. We are hearing Lebanese health department really asking for all health workers to report back to work.
You might want to cover this. Bro, are you fucking insane? I'm literally in the process of covering it. Are you joking? Like, what the fuck's going on with the chat right now? This is what I'm covering. This is the story I'm covering right now. Here's what the New York War Crimes said. Pagers explode, the New York Times headline reads, after their friends in Israel detonated devices near thousands of Lebanese people in homes, hospitals, and busy streets. If it was any other perpetrator, they would call it a terrorist attack. Look at the fucking, look at the passive voice here. Israel, the greatest cop nation. Pagers explode across Lebanon after Israel warns Hezbollah. Hezbollah said pagers belonging to its members had exploded, and health officials said over 2,700 were wounded. The Israeli military declined to comment. Pagers explode naturally, okay, when they're under extreme distress, okay? At the top of the hour ad break explodes naturally as well, unless you subscribe, in which case it won't. How do they get the pagers to explode? 5 months ago, according to some sources, this is the speculation or the preliminary reporting on the matter is that Mossad put a bunch of explosives inside of pagers and shipped it into, like, disrupted the supply chain that was going into Lebanon. They put those they planted bombs inside of pagers. Okay, those pagers, they had no fucking like genuine knowledge if it would go to like random civilians or directly to just like Hezbollah members, many of which are, by the way, not even militants, but directly just like members of the parliament. Okay, so civilians, just so you understand. They're brown, they're Muslim, scary, I know, but still civilians, okay? Including but not limited to, you know, other people that might be using pagers as well, you know, like nurses and doctors alike. Could it be an exploit? No. Normal batteries don't explode like that. I think the exploit is that they probably fried the battery so that it would activate the explosive. Over 3,000 pagers were rigged with explosives. Is this a reasonable claim? I mean, seems to me like that's what happened. Are there reports of civilian casualties? Yes, of course. 4,000 is the latest estimate of the wounded civilians in the process, like maimed. A 10-year-old girl died due to the pager explosion. A geomagnetic storm was happening around that time that can affect electronic devices. What the fuck are you talking about? It's bad either way, but if they basically only exploded civilians, how do you even spin this for Israel? It doesn't matter. Israel can do whatever the fuck it wants, and the American media will defend it. Also, I'm running the 3-minute ad break now. I forgot to do it. Same chatter saying bro wasn't saying the N-word yesterday is always going to happen. Yeah, no matter what. It's the independent thinkers. There's always some independent thinkers in the chat. The heterodox thinkers who are like, yeah, it seems like preliminary reporting says that there are explosives that were planted in the pagers. Obviously, the explosions are much larger than like what it seems like a normal battery explosion would look like, or a fire that would, in certain instances, occur. But I'm just going to think mercury is in Gatorade. Hezbollah has also released a statement. Let's take a look. At approximately 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, several communications devices known as pagers carried by a number of workers in various units and institutions of Hezbollah exploded. These explosions, whose causes still remain unknown, have resulted in the martyrdom of a young girl and 2 of our brothers so far, and have injured a large number of others with varying degrees of severity. The specialized units in Hezbollah are currently conducting a comprehensive security and scientific investigation to determine the cause of these simultaneous explosions. Medical and clinical teams are also treating the wounded and injured in several hospitals across the Lebanese regions. After examining all the facts, current data, and available information about the sinful attack that took place this afternoon, we hold the Israeli enemy fully responsible for this criminal aggression that also targeted civilians and led to the martyrdom of a number of people and the injury of a large number with various wounds. Our martyrs and wounded are the symbol of our struggle and sacrifices on the road to Al-Quds in victory for our honorable people in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank and continuous field support. Our position of victory, support, and backing for the valiant Palestinian resistance will remain a source of pride and honor for us in this world and the hereafter. This treachery and criminal enemy will certainly receive its just punishment for this sinful aggression from where it expects it or not, and Allah is witness to what we say. Here's what the Pentagon spokesperson said about the fucking pager attack, by the way, if you want to know how bad things are in the America land and how little they give a shit about this.
I'm just following up on the pagers question. Does DoD assess that this was an attack by Israel, and do you consider this an escalation?
It's funny because, like, they didn't even fucking, apparently, if you were to believe the State Department, which, you know, I don't really make a habit of believing the State Department in most cases, but if you were to believe it, Israel didn't even tell them about this, okay?
of the tensions on the northern border?
Yeah, as far as what it is, again, I just don't have anything to provide. And as far as escalation, broadly speaking, in the Middle East, I mean, this is something that we've been paying attention to for more than almost a year now, since Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7. And so we've been very, very focused. The secretary's been very, very focused on ensuring that the tensions in the region do not escalate into a wider regional conflict. And as I highlighted at the top, that's something that continues.
I mean, but it is. Not sure which is worse. At this point, Israel doesn't need to run shit by the U.S. In fact, it seems like the other way around. Yeah. Here's a doctor in internal medicine in Beirut, Dania El Halak. I smelled too much blood today and tried to stop many slaughtered body parts from bleeding, which was pointless. What we are going through is unbelievable. As a doctor, you are not expected and allowed to say which was pointless. As a doctor, you don't tell me what I'm allowed to say, as I know better, idiot. And please understand the context of the text first, then speak. Pointless was meant to explain that the bleeding was impossible to stop, and yet we continued to work. I'm not even kidding, dude. Israel could do this in America, and America wouldn't do shit. Straight up. Maybe one day we'll find out. America condemns the American citizens that were exploded by Israeli bombs for hurting the feelings of the great state of Israel. Israel blows up, fucking Columbia campus student protesters, and America's like, well, they were in the wrong. They shouldn't have actually said something. They shouldn't have said something mean about Israel.
We don't know what the target is. We don't know who the target was. We're getting more information on this front, Ben. But as this is all coming to a head at this stage, I wonder from your perspective, and this is the big concern, what it means for the region from a security perspective, from an escalation point of view as well, Ben.
This certainly represents a serious escalation, because what we're talking about is, according to these Lebanese security sources, hundreds of people being injured. And by all accounts, they seem to be all Hezbollah members. And probably these are Hezbollah members who are not sort of rank and file. These are probably local commanders, people who are in charge of units, lead units from Hezbollah. And the fact that Mushtaba...
So why did fucking MPs get blown up?
The Iranian ambassador to Beirut may be among the injured, sort of brings it up another level, because you are talking about an Iranian diplomat being injured in this. Don't forget that on the 1st of April of this year, there was it's what's widely believed to have been an Israeli strike on an Iranian diplomatic complex in Damascus, which that set off a series of strikes and counterstrikes, raising the temperature even further. So this may be a similar sort of event where not only are there perhaps hundreds, perhaps more casualties among Hezbollah members, but also a senior Iranian diplomat as well. So certainly this...
See how quick even Americans in chat get terrified from the mention of the idea of any violence actually affecting them, yet many outside of chat don't have an ounce of sympathy for those who experience this violence on a regular. Yeah, they got fucking 10-year-old girls commanding Hezbollah military units. That's why they died.
It sets the stage for a major escalation between not only Hezbollah and Israel, but perhaps Iran as well.
All right, Ben Wiedemann, thank you so much. Joining us now, we've got Firaz Maqsad, who is the Director of Outreach at the Middle East Institute in Washington, as we're getting this breaking news in with hundreds of people injured, specifically Hezbollah members, after their pages exploded. Firaz, great to have you with us. What is your initial response to this news?
No doubt a major operation, and a wonderful, maybe wonderful is the wrong word, but an exceptional breakthrough for Israeli intelligence there.
They blew up a 10-year-old, bro. That's crazy. Hayvan. Just a fucking straight up Nazi, dude. On CNN, by the way. What a wonderful, wonderful act of terror. Like, how is this any different than... Bro, this is just celebrating 9/11, you know? This is what Trump and everyone else lied about and said Muslims were doing, you know what I mean, on rooftops or some shit. Love the director of outreach at the Middle East Institute saying this, by the way. Wonderful. I mean, exceptional breakthrough. When you see this kind of stuff, I think, I hope you understand why the rest of the world, like, in a lot of instances, despise us, okay? That's why it's so funny when people chirp about, like, I don't know, people burning American flags in, like, Iran or some shit. It's like, what are you talking about? Do you know the fucking pain that we cause everywhere on a daily fucking basis, dude? Another incredible Israeli operation that could spark a major Lebanon war expected when you're hemorrhaging deterrence and relying on U.S. to keep Netanyahu at bay. Hezbollah needs to restore deterrence but doesn't want to give Bibi a pretext. Time to decouple Lebanon from Gaza. What the fuck? I feel like that seems like the opposite of what he's saying here.
Be able to penetrate Hezbollah's telecommunication
Am I
network.
misunderstanding what he's saying? No, what he said right there is like the opposite of... Did I misunderstand what he was saying? Another incredible Israeli operation that could spark a major Lebanon war. Expected when you're hemorrhaging deterrence and relying on U.S. to keep Netanyahu at bay. Hezbollah needs to restore deterrence but doesn't want to give Bibi a pretext. Oh, he's saying Hezbollah needs to stop like trying to do deterrence and just give up. Never mind.
Can blow up hundreds, if not thousands, of pagers all at once.
So Firas, just to interject there, you mentioned Israeli intelligence being behind.
You mentioned it was wonderful. Maybe let's go back to that. That seems like a thing that I would ask a follow-up question on.
Behind this, is that what you're characterizing this as, that Israel was behind this? We don't have confirmation of that, and of course, we're getting information in real time. Why do you assume it's Israel?
Absolutely. I mean, in the context of all that's happening, there is very little doubt in my mind, and I think in the mind of most Middle East watchers, that Israeli intelligence is behind this. Now, Israel does have a long track record of sometimes, quite often, actually not claiming its operations to allow for some plausible deniability and perhaps allow the other side to de-escalate and not feel that they are compelled to retaliate. But for all practical reasons, everybody here would probably suspect Israel as being behind this operation.
Friendly reminder, a UK activist is facing prison for referring to October 7th as incredible. I mean, yeah, this is why I always say you must not, but you also definitely cannot be callous in the same way that like those who defend Israel's atrocities are. You just can't. There is obviously a fucking double standard. And anyone who's been doing this for as long as I have will tell you that.
As we're getting more information in, and the other piece of news from Iranian media is that the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon was also injured. How significant is this?
Well, I mean, this is very significant because we currently have the American envoy in Israel and in the region very much for the purpose of de-escalating and preventing Israel from broadening this war, pulling Lebanon into it in a major way, and also in a manner that can also bring in...
You don't bring your warfare into the public space. We always condemn any army that brings a war into a civilian area, yet we praise it as a victory. What victory is there for the loss of innocent? I don't know if you know this, but like for the past fucking 30 years, America has very actively prosecuted wars in civilian areas and killed a shit ton of civilians. And that's before we calculate the unimaginable harm caused by sanctions. So Americans are very, very open-minded to an untold amount of violence as long as it's like kept to the third world. It's been far longer than that, but I'm talking specifically for the war on terror when I say the 30 years. Okay? Chat. I'm talking about direct boots on the ground military war, okay, in civilian areas. Obviously, there's only been like, 17 years where the United States of America was not actively involved in some kind of fucking war in its entire history. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking specifically about the appetite that Americans have for permanent genocide of Muslims, Arabs, and brown people as a whole.
And dragging Iran, Hezbollah's main patron, which perhaps and has threatened before openly not to stand by if Israel launches a major operation in Lebanon. So yes, this has the hallmark of an Israeli operation. it has the propensity, the potentiality to broaden in a way that the American administration has been pushing and trying to thwart through diplomacy for quite some time now, almost a year since October 7th.
Juliet, in terms of Iranian's ambassador to Lebanon being part of the injured as well, we've spoken about this for the last few minutes to sort of get a sense and understand what this means in terms of escalation. You've just heard from Faraz. He says this has got the hallmarks of an Israeli attack. We just don't know yet. But how are you going to read into this in terms of what it could mean regionally?
Yes. So, we don't have to be blind.
What is this? Bro, how are these motherfuckers actual subscribers, dog? What the fuck? Be honest, man, this was a huge setback for resistant groups. Israel secured a huge W on this. Big cope. Israel secured a huge W in this one. No way to spin it. Extremists are triggered. I think you might be the extremist that is triggered in this circumstance, chatter. Like, you know, I unbanned you just so you can defend your position here. Do you think it's defensible to kill a fuck ton of civilian politicians and also simultaneously kill like random children and shit? Maim thousands of people? Would you not consider it to be an act of terror if a Muslim group happened to do this on U.S. soil, or a Muslim group happened to do this on Israeli soil? You would. You would literally be sitting here being like, this is October 7 all over again. He called you gay in 2020. You act like a beta cuck. I disagree with you. How do you feel as a gay man having someone to talk about your demographic like that? Actually can't believe she said that. Disenfranchised chatter turned Divorcelli fan. You don't act like there isn't a shadow proxy war ongoing already. Dog, the United States of America is engaging in proxy wars in like virtually every country on the planet. Do you consider that to be an act of terror if one of those fucking groups actually retaliated in the similar way that Israel was able to pull off in Lebanon? The question I asked you was direct. Do you think if roles were reversed and Hezbollah was able to fucking secure plastic explosives in a logistical shipment that went to like Israeli Knesset members and IDF military members that were, you know, living alongside Israeli society, would you condemn that? Or would you say, nah, this was a big W for the resistance groups? I don't think you would say that's a big W for the resistance groups. I think you would say, oh my God, this is the worst act of terror since October 7. Okay? And I know you would say that because obviously the perspective that you have right now implies that you are in defense of Israel because Israel was struck on October 7, and now you think any amount of violence that Israel engages in is permissible. Do you get it? That are using Trump reject nicknames? No, he's joking. This is sarcastic, most likely. Just saying it isn't so black and white. There's a plausible casus belli for Israel with the people expelled from the north. Okay. Do you think there is a plausible casus belli for Hezbollah or Palestinians to do October 7 then? 75 years of occupation, it seems to me like you literally are justifying October 7. Is that what you're saying? I can't believe people were expelled from the north of Israel. How did Israel materialize to begin with? It wasn't through magic. It was through forcible expulsion of 750,000 Palestinians. Is there plausible casus belli for that? Or do you just have selective morality? Everything that Israel does is good. Everything that happens to Israel is bad. I don't know, man. There are second and third generation people that didn't settle there or choose to move there. You are not have some sympathy for their humanity as well. You're not answering my question, big dog. You just justified an attack on Lebanese soil, an act of terror, by saying there's a proxy war going on. I asked you, if Hezbollah did the same to Israel, would you find that to be appropriate? Okay. And you can't have answers for that because that would show you as, you know, an actual fucking hypocrite. So what's up? I do have sympathy for Israeli humanity. I do. You, on the other hand, don't have sympathy for the human beings in Lebanon. That's the difference here. Why are you so tribal? Liberal mask is slipping. Tribal in terms of what? Like one human tribe? Is that what you're saying? Would you be okay just answer the question. Would you be okay if Hezbollah did the exact same thing? Maybe I don't have access to all the information or understand certain things. Yeah, there's a lot you don't understand. But I think one thing you should change is the little underlying premise that you have in the back of your mind that, like, you know, Israel's enemies are automatically evil and across the board deserve it, and all of their friends and family and the people that they're around also deserve death and destruction.
Mind to the idea that, of course, this is Israel. I know it's not proving
Yeah.
it, but there's no other entity that has the desire and capability of doing something.
Why can't we just not have Hezbollah and Hamas and just have peaceful Christian governments in Lebanon and Israel? Great question. Lebron narrative. Yeah. The peaceful Christian Lebanese. Why can't we just like plant a phalangist government in Lebanon? They were so peaceful. Wait, this motherfucker said Israel? Wait, what? Why can't we have a peaceful Christian government in Israel? I didn't even hear what he was saying. I didn't even read that. Okay, that's a new one. Respect. That's a new one. That's a new one. I respect it because I've never heard that before. Okay? I feel like that straight up, like, motherfucker said, bring back the Crusades. Okay? They tried that, dog. What the fuck? Chatter said Deus Vault. We got to try it again. You know, we haven't tried it hard enough. The Crusades will succeed if you believe, okay?
Something like this, and they hinted at it yesterday. So this is the Iranians will see this as a direct attack on one of their senior government officials. So one could imagine how Iran is going to react. It would be no different than if their ambassador, in their mind, was shot at, assassinated, kidnapped, or whatever else. Now, they make the irony here, of course, is, and the question I ask out loud is, what is the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon doing with a network of communications that is limited to Hezbollah? This is we know why.
Oh, they're just flexing, dude. This is crazy. No accountability will come to Israel. American media is firing off on all cylinders, being like, this shit is awesome. You know, a little girl was killed in the process, but yo, that shit was dope. Okay. Had she considered not being fucking born in Lebanon? Sorry, sucks to suck.
And this is but they're going to have to fess up to that. I think the Iranians will claim that he was on just a usual beeper network, but it's clear the ties between Hezbollah and Iran and leadership flowed through an ambassador or others who had direct ties with Hezbollah. But this is the regional conflict we've been worried about. Every time we get to a moment where things could be triggered into a greater, I'm not minimizing what's already happening there. It's a regional conflict in some respects, but it's not a regional war. This is the question is are we over the brink now, or can all entities bring it back?
All right, Paula, what more are we learning?
We know from a Lebanese security source that hundreds have been injured. We know that this is a pager system, if you like, that is used by the militant group Hezbollah. We don't know, though, how many Hezbollah have been injured, how many civilians have been injured. That's simply not information we have at this point.
Now I understand why every time there's something bad happening in the US, people celebrate. Yeah, no shit. This was literally the sentiment, part of the sentiment that I was talking about with respect to what we deserve, okay? Like, people see this shit. People see the support and the weapons, the logistical support, the political support America offers to permanent genocide in the third world and directly engages in. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to me that we just sit here and talk about how fucking sweet that shit is, dude. Like, ooh, how did they pull this off? How the fuck did they pull this off? How nutty, how wild, how dope. Yeah. 9-year-old Fatima Jafar Abdullah, okay? That was her name. A young girl killed in a northeastern Lebanon's Baalbek district, according to Lebanese media. But hey, fucking mint, dude. Sick operation. So cool and innovative. Wonderful, they said.
So potentially in an hour's time, we will get a lot more clarity on what has happened.
I wonder if any news medias will use the word terror on this literal terror attack. Fuck no. That is only if it is an enemy of the United States. We will never use that when it's a friend to the United States. When it's a proxy state or a vassal state, we will never use those terms.
We do know the public declarations from the Ministry of Health at this point have pointed to the fact that it is a significant event, the fact that they're calling health officials back to their hospitals, saying everybody has to go back to work so that we can cope with the sheer number of injured that are coming into the hospitals, calling for civilians to be giving blood to help with those injuries. So presumably they are significant injuries in some occasions.
Yeah, and we're waiting for that number, but we do have some video just into CNN just showing some footage.
Are you going to cover Mehdi Hassan pressing Jill Stein in his new interview? No, I don't care. Like, I'm not a fan of Jill Stein, but I also don't care enough to like press her. You know what I mean? Or to say that she's like pro Putin or some shit. Like, I just don't care. It's irrelevant. Okay. Like, I just genuinely don't give a shit. Are you pro Putin? No, dumbass. Of course I'm not fucking pro Putin. Have people considered that this wasn't planned by Mossad, but instead sinners being smitten by God? There is an error of margin. Okay, I like this chatter. This chatter consistently says the most unhinged shit, so I'm not gonna ban him.
Of health workers arriving at hospitals. We'd just like to share that with you. This is what we have right now, and you can see. Okay, Faraz, I want you to give me a sense of, because we've got the immediate impact, so people that are injured, the health department trying to get people back at work immediately. We, again, trying to confirm the number of injured. We know that it was Hezbollah pages for now, still waiting for that. But there's a political element to this, and it's a really big one at a time where you've got incredible tension in the region. You have a war that is raging between Hamas and Israel, and of course that's spilling over into Lebanon, and the huge ramifications of an attack of this nature.
By the way, Anna is right. I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, I had this conversation with someone the other day where I was like, the only way for me to be pro like PSL ticket is like the constant Jill Stein chirpers. Like, it has officially caused me to be like, dude, I would like at least they are at the forefront of activism in this country, okay? And not just like popping their fucking head into the convo every 4 years when there's an election cycle coming up. Oh my God, dude. It's so, it doesn't matter. I don't even know the names of the PSL ticket. I don't care. I don't care. Like, it is, that shit is so fucking annoying. Like, I don't care enough to be like, Jill Stein is a, I don't care enough to be like, she's spoiling the election and therefore I have to take her down or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt that today's attack is a watershed moment in this conflict that's been raging now for almost a year between Hezbollah and Israel. But it's not disconnected. There's a broader context here. We all recall back in August, the assassination of Hezbollah's chief of staff in the heart of the Hezbollah-controlled southern suburbs of Beirut. There's been a series of attacks against Hezbollah by Israel that can be designed to spark a major war, to be a pretext for broadening this war. And I think Hezbollah is very much being put in a difficult situation, a policy dilemma, if you may. If they respond forcibly to such attacks, this being the latest and perhaps arguably the biggest, then it risks giving Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, the pretext he is looking for to broaden a war.
Jill Stein's Green Party is running a candidate against Rashida Tlaib in November. Chemicals hovering over my vehicle in Michigan. Brenda K. Sanders for Congress. Michigan CD 13 ex-district judge Brenda Sanders, the Green Party nominee versus U.S. Rep. Rashida Tlaib, apparently believes in the nut job chemtrails conspiracy theory. Okay, I'm saying it. I'm pulling the trigger. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm sorry. This has to be a Russian op. Okay. I'm sorry. That's it. No. That you're, oh my God. That it's just, come on, dude. No. It's got, come on. Give Iran some credit. What the fuck? Iran would never. I don't think Iran has enough espionage capabilities to fucking or even like infiltration capabilities to like actually massage American political interests or try to do like the classic push and pull that Russia loves doing that shit. That Russia does do a lot, and Israel as well, alongside Russia sometimes. Like this. If Stein is a Russian op, Kamala is an Israeli op by the same logic. What she is. What? There's not like a sitting American politician that is in like that level of power that is not unconditionally pro-Israel. Okay? Yeah. I like when chatters will be like, you said something that I consider to be correct, but here's another thing that you also probably will agree with.
This war with Lebanon and potentially pull in Iran. But if they don't, they lose and hemorrhage their deterrence, inviting Israel and Netanyahu to conduct further operations as we see today. There's a third option, and really, I mean, my sense is, particularly with U.S. diplomacy active on this and the presidential envoy in the region, Hezbollah can very much make that decision still to unbuckle the Lebanon front from the Gaza front. That support front, which Hezbollah launched in support of Hamas in October 8th, has run its course and really has very much...
Yeah, just dial it back. Just stop. Come on, please. Just stop defending Gaza. It's over. Come on. Like, this guy is just basically... Like, this guy is just straight up doing, like, Israeli propaganda. That's insane. That's an insane thing that is happening on CNN. He's just like, yeah, my message to Hezbollah is just give up. I'm going to reiterate the position of the Israeli government and the security apparatus in place that if you don't give up, they're going to keep doing more shit like this. Great stuff, man. Thank you.
Yielded very little.
Middle East rep, by the way. Yeah, I mean, this is, of course, yes, he is the guy that they have to speak on Middle Eastern affairs. This is the most Middle Eastern guy. This is the Middle Eastern guy that they're going to get to talk on this issue.
In terms of returns for both Lebanon and Hezbollah and the Iranian axis. So there is a third path here to de-escalate.
But for the record, like, while I say I don't give a shit about what Jill Stein is saying, like, of course, Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. Get the fuck out of here, okay? Of course. Such a dumb thing to even... Like, such a dumb thing to even talk about, okay? It's not even a question. All right? It is so silly. Like, such a silly fucking conversation to have. Yes, duh, no shit.
I'm just not too sure Hezbollah will take it.
Time has expired.
Deeply wrong, sir.
Anyway, do you think he's gay, though? Yeah. I don't know, and I don't care. So, yeah. Once again, leave aside that these pages are used by doctors and nurses if Hezbollah blew up phones and pages of IDF soldiers, whether or not on duty, or even fucking, again, IDF soldiers or Knesset members, killing them inside of their homes, next to their children, killing the daughter, a 9-year-old daughter of a Knesset member, all hell would break loose. Okay? Is Putin pro-Palestine or pro-Israel? Putin is pro-Putin. Okay? That's a silly question. Silly question. Like, it's hard to think of a more sophisticated and targeted attack on a terror group than the pagers, but Israel will still be condemned. So why can't the critics just be honest? They don't believe in her right to self-defense and never will. Oh, God. Was the 8-year-old girl killed targeted then? No. It's so incredible. It's so incredible. It's so sick. It's so incredible. They did such a sophisticated attack by, floating pagers. Yeah. Nathan J. Robinson says, Israel knew that detonating all the pagers would mean indiscriminately killing civilians because you have no idea where the person with the pager is going to be. Launching explosions in the fruit markets and killing children is rightly called terrorism. The targets may have been military, but if Hamas put a bomb in an Israeli market in order to kill a military official, we would still consider it terrorism. Not only that, but also Israel directly uses bombs to kill people that they suspect is like high up. And they do end up killing a bunch of civilians in the process inside of Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, and many other places. It does not matter. It's just a straight up act of terror, and it is being celebrated by all of our wonderful thinkers in mainstream media. Over 1,000 Hezbollah fighters said injured as their pagers explode in alleged Israeli attack. We know how the U.S. media frames attacks intended for military targets that killed civilians. It's called October 7. Exactly. And in the interest of consistency, honesty, and fairness, I have condemned the civilian casualties during October 7. The problem is, no one will ever be expected to condemn Israel. There is never going to be a person that goes, do you condemn the Israeli terror attack on Lebanese soil? No, fuck no. That's not a question. That's not ever going to be a question. Anyway, here's the shocking moment. All hell breaks loose as John Kennedy accuses the Arab American leader of supporting Hamas. Obviously, just more of that beautiful, delicious double standard that we all know, enjoy, and love.
Senator Kennedy.
Psycho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rabbi, do you believe there are a substantial number of people at Harvard University who believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harass Jews?
I do.
That's a yes?
Yes.
And do you believe those people have acted on their self-anointed right to harass Jews?
Yes.
And has the administration at Harvard University allowed that to happen?
Yes.
Is that true at University of California at Berkeley?
Yes.
How about UCLA?
Yes.
How about NYU?
Yes.
A lot of other universities too. Isn't that the case?
That is correct.
Now, Title VI says that if you receive federal money, you can't harass Jews. Isn't that true?
That is correct.
Has the Biden-Harris administration taken away the money of Harvard?
No.
How about Berkeley?
Nope.
How about UCLA?
No, sir.
How about NYU?
No.
They've just talked, haven't they?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you think this condoned behavior at these universities, this condoned belief at these universities, and let me state it again, they believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harass Jews. It's what they believe. What you do is what you believe. Everything else is just cottage cheese. Do you think that is consistent with their mission as universities?
Absolutely not.
One of the funniest parts about this, and Felix made this point, I think in the latest Chapo, and I agree with him, is that there's currently actual blood libel being presented by the Republican Party against like Haitian migrants, okay? There's currently like, you know, a shit ton of bomb threats that are happening in Springfield, Ohio as a consequence of the statements that the Republican presidential and vice presidential candidate have repeated over and over again. Just straight up lies, right? Like calling them vermin, calling them vectors of disease, things of that nature. But what has our Congress done on that front? Absolutely nothing. Congress is too busy writing like 12 new bills that make it so that if you are like a Jewish anti-Zionist protester in a fucking Ivy League institution, you should be killed for saying Israel is mean and wrong, okay? I'm so glad that that is what the state of affairs looks like in the United States of America. If you hurt someone who is in defense of Israel's feelings, you should be shot and killed, okay? You should be arrested. You should be shot and killed. All this cool stuff. We should immediately adopt the IHRA definition, okay? Which is pretty crazy considering that the IHRA definition, you don't have to ban the guy who's like posting John Kennedy's office's phone number. They might have just gotten clapped though because of FossaBot. Yeah. By the way, another part of this is that actual anti-Semitic neo-Nazis are literally marching in the streets of Springfield, Ohio. Actual neo-Nazi groups are sending out flyers. The Ku Klux Klan is promoting the position that is now adopted by the Republican president and vice presidential candidate. No peep, not a peep from the Democrats, not a peep from the Republicans. The Republicans are the ones who are literally pushing these lies. Okay. But hey, we got all the smoke, baby. Let's write like 11 more bills. Let's write as many bills as we can. If you even think in your mind that Israel could ever do something that is wrong, you should go to jail. Okay? I will send you to perma jail. Sick. Sick. Cool stuff. What a fucking ridiculous state of affairs. It's so... I don't even know what to say about it. Like the hypocrisy is glaring. The inhumanity is still somehow shocking because they just like keep increasing the heat. So sick. Israel is a Nazi state, and the United States of America is also a Nazi state. Okay, that's where we're at. Wonderful stuff. Very cool.
Okay, so above and beyond the question of money, it is the morality, the purpose of higher education in America, is it not?
That is correct.
Ms. Barrett, you are the executive director of the Arab American Institute, is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay, and according to...
What? Hassan, you look so silly. October 7th, which directly targeted civilians, was freedom fighting, but an attack that directly targeted combatants is terrorism. Isn't this what you want, for civilian death to be minimized? Or is it just you're immoral because I don't agree with you? Dude, I'm so glad I'm white. No weird shit like I've been drunk and the cops let me go on multiple occasions. How does this guy go from this to this? Okay. First of all, I suspect that you were probably in here since you created your account on September 2nd. I live in Rokana's district. There's a lot of Israelis here. I can see why he might not want to be too critical of Israel. It's a sensitive subject for them. Wait, how the fuck did you go from having like, he's saying that what they're doing is not defending itself. They're trolling as a hate watcher? Dude, I will never understand. When I go back, I'm not pro-Israel. Okay, if you're not pro-Israel, why the fuck are you coming in here and saying silly ass shit like, oh, you loved October 7. Okay, you loved October 7. I just had a conversation about October 7 saying that targeting civilians is never appropriate, okay? It is what amounts to an act of terror. But you don't give a shit about that, okay? You don't give a shit about that. You just came in hot and you're like, methinks I found a double standard, sweetie. No, the double standard is on your end, okay? The double standard is on your end. He doesn't care, only wants a clip. Yeah. Dude, March's Discord is always live in the computer in my other studio, in my podcast studio. And whenever this motherfucker gets like a Discord call, I just hear it. Yeah. He's also implying I'm not, because you look silly, prove it. Prove what? Prove what? Prove how many times I have said that targeting civilians is always what amounts to an act of terror? Is that what you're saying? My double standards? I mean, you're just objectively lying here, okay? This is the problem. Do you think that October 7 was a successful military operation that targeted enemy militants and then also some civilians were harmed in the consequence? Or do you consider it to be an act of terror? Because what you're saying is a justification for October 7. This is the problem with people that always fucking defend Israel. No, I think it was an emotion-fueled act of terror. Okay, but when Israel was retaliating with 40,000 fucking casualties, which is like not even a real number that I can use at this point. It's so much worse. then that is not like, what is that? There is just no way. There is absolutely no way you can defend. Same thing, emotional fueled active genocide. Okay, well, genocide is worse than terror. So how about, that's number one, okay? States commit acts of terror on a regular basis. You're criticizing Israel. Great. Good start. Okay, emotion fueled. In terms of what Israel did in Lebanon, this is, of course, an act of terror as well. This is an act of terror. When you are killing indiscriminately exploding pagers of not only military members, okay, that are currently not actively in combat, which is already a violation of human rights, for the record. I know that we've forgotten, but like, if you blow up the fucking pager of a dude who is not actively in combat, especially when they're in a civilian area, that's still a fucking war crime. Why are we even having this conversation? It is an act of war and terror are the same things? No. This is literally a war crime, even if there was no one else around him. Even if Israel knew that there was no one else around them, it's still a fucking war crime. But that's not the case, because it's an act of terror beyond a war crime, because there are civilians around these people, and some of the people targeted were civilians themselves. They were politicians, okay? People who go to fucking parliament. Do you understand? How are we having this conversation? If roles were reversed, okay, and Hezbollah exploded Hezbollah snuck in explosives into pagers or some other communications device and gave it to members of the Knesset, okay, members of the Knesset. I truly believe this was meant to affect as little civilians as possible. Okay, answer my question. If Hezbollah gave explosive devices, okay, if they intercepted some kind of civilian communications that Israel is using, okay, it may not be for altruistic goals, but it's true nonetheless. Answer my question. If roles were reversed and Hezbollah was able to explode thousands of phones that are used by Knesset members, IDF soldiers that are not in combat, that are just like fucking walking around in Tel Aviv, and maimed 4,000 plus people, would you consider that to be an act of terror? If they were intentionally trying to avoid civilians, which by the way would still be a fucking war crime. Like you can't even target retreating troops. What are we talking about? Like not retreating troops so they can get a better position, but like troops that have laid down their arms. If it were only military targets, I would consider it. Okay, I said members of the Knesset. Members of the Knesset and their children that also died. Would you consider, don't try to change the dynamic. I'm giving you the exact same dynamic that just took place in Lebanon. That would be terror, yes? Okay, so you consider what Israel did in Lebanon to be an act of terror then. So you agree with me. I'm glad that you agree with me. Hezbollah is not Lebanon government. Brother, I don't know how to explain to you something, but something that you're just like objectively wrong on, but you should probably consider the sources that you're getting your information from, because they're just probably oblivious to basic facts. You're wrong. Hezbollah is absolutely a political party. I think someone either took advantage of your lack of knowledge in the situation. Is Hezbollah the equivalent to the Knesset? Okay, Likud. Hezbollah equivalent to Likud or the Jewish Power Party. Likud is very fair game, yes? No, you don't fucking believe that. Shut the fuck up. Wait, what do you mean? Equivalent to the Knesset? Okay, it blew up. A Likud party's fucking phone exploded randomly next to civilians. You already said you consider it an act of fucking terror. What do you mean? Like, you, come on, dude. Come the fuck on, brother. Anyway. Bro sent me the worst possible thing that you can, like, the wiki wand is the absolute worst possible fucking thing to send me. It's like all AI and shit. It's so annoying to be like, this is the Lebanese parliament. For the record, no matter how much I fucking despise the Likud or the Jewish Power Party, I don't think that they should be summarily executed alongside random fucking civilians and their children, okay? Like, you know, that's ridiculous. The appropriate solution, yeah, Likud is centrist in the Knesset. He's basically saying half the Knesset is fair game. I mean, they're right-wing. They're not centrist, but we know what the centrist parties are. Centrist parties who are also very much against the ICC and the ICJ's decisions against Israel. So they're all fucking right-wing. Ultimately, if you consider Likud to be terrorists, okay, then there's like three fucking sitting Knesset members that are not terrorists.
Your website, you're also, I'm going to quote here, a longtime Democratic Party activist who served as a member of the 2016 Democratic National Convention's Platform Standing Committee, close quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You support Hamas, do you not?
You say why Hezbollah considered terrorist? Isn't it the military branch of the Lebanese government? No, there's a paramilitary wing of Hezbollah, but Hezbollah obviously is a part of the fucking parliament. Like, they are among, they are a part of the 128 seats in the Lebanese parliament. They're like, it's like blowing up, you know, Democrat politicians or some shit. It's crazy. Also, I fucking, you know, this guy is, I literally missed this guy being insanely fucking racist, and also missed the top of the hour ad break, which I'm running now. Okay.
And according to your website, you're also, I'm going to quote here, a longtime Democratic Party activist who served as a member of the 2016 Democratic National Convention's Platform Standing Committee, close quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You support Hamas, do you not?
Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing today in a very
Let's start
effective
first
way.
with a yes or no.
Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization that I do not support, but you asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question very much puts the focus on the issue of hate in our country.
Well, I got your answer, and I appreciate it. What is the...
That's so cool that, like, just sitting senators at the Senate Judiciary Committee could just straight up do, like, hate crimes and shit. You know what I mean? That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, you're Arab, so you must be Hamas too. I mean, this is not new, by the way. This is like, it happened in a way that went super fucking viral when Tom Cotton, another one of these racist assholes, was like, you know, what kind of Chinese are you? And the dude was like, Senator, I'm Singaporean. Well, Singapore is a different type of China. So tell me now, what type of Chinese are you, boy? Can you tell me what kind of Hamas you are? Explain to me. Since you're Arab, please can you state on the record that as an Arab, you automatically are Hamas?
You support Hezbollah too, don't you?
Again, I find this line of questioning extraordinarily disappointing,
Is that a
Senator.
no?
That you have Arab American constituents that you represent
is
in
that
your great state.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that, but my time's limited, and I apologize, but is that a yes or a no?
A yes or no question to do I support Hezbollah? The answer is I don't support violence, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, or any other entity that invokes
You
it.
can't
So
bring
no,
yourself to say no, can you?
No, I can say no. I can say yes.
But
what
you
I can
haven't.
She's literally saying no. And he's like, but I don't believe you because you're Arab. By the way, that's already a loaded question because the answer, you can't have like an honest answer in that situation because like you can't have an honest answer in that question because everyone is automatically under the assumption. Everyone is automatically under the assumption that like these are fucking terror cells and they're bad and they're Arab and they're Muslim and they're scary and they want to bomb America. So like you can't even have a normal fucking conversation about this shit. Okay? So especially as an Arab person, you know, good luck.
say is
You just
your
can't
line
make
of
yourself
questioning.
do it. Do you
Senator,
support or oppose Iran and their hatred of Jews?
again, I'm going to emphasize Iran.
Oh, I like that he's also, now he's like, what about Iran and their Jew hatred? I can't tell you what he deserves, you know? I wonder if we'll ask, do you support Saudi Arabia?
On Hezbollah, Hamas, none of them is going to
You can't bring yourself to say no, can
Sir,
you?
I don't support.
It's real simple.
Excuse me. I'm going to,
Ian,
if I may, as a Muslim woman, sir, I'm going to tell you I do not support Iran. But what I will tell you is that this conversation.
I'm running out of time. I'm
Okay.
sorry. You called our decision to cut funding. You called our decision to cut fund. Well, first, what's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency?
It's UNRWA, which is the institution that exists to provide services and aid to the nearly 6 million Palestinian refugees.
And you called our decision to cut funding for them, quote, an incredible moral failure, close quote.
That is absolutely correct. But again, I would suggest that conversation is about foreign policy.
We did that because 9 UNRWA staff members were fired for actually helping Hamas on October 7th. Isn't that the case?
I don't believe that that's correct in terms
Let me ask you one more time. You support Hamas, don't you?
I'm not going to say what I think. I'm not going to say what I believe is truly just to happen to him, but you can't stop me from thinking it. You know, I'm thinking it. I mean, this is just pure, unadulterated, unrestricted, insane levels of bigotry. Like, he is behaving like a fucking, like, Reddit debate lord or some shit. It is reprehensible, vile, it's disgusting. It is, he's like one step removed from saying that, you know, you did 9/11 to some random Arab woman. Okay? Ironic considering that this is a committee hearing on combating fucking hate crimes, which is now turned into doing more hate crimes. Turns out the Senate Judiciary hearing was about doing hate crimes. All I wish for is justice. I wish for a better future. I wish for karmic justice.
You support UNRWA and Hamas, don't you?
Sir, please. I think it's exceptionally disappointing that you're looking at an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do
to
not
say
support Hamas.
You don't
or
support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a.
That's so crazy because she has said it, but because she's not a human being to you, you're not there to hear what she has to say.
At an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support Hamas. I do not support Hamas.
You don't
or
support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
I support Iran. You should hide your head in a bag.
Your time has expired. Please, Ms. Berry, I'm going to allow you to respond to anyone or all.
Dick Durbin, you shouldn't have censured him right there. Like, what are we doing here? Isn't that your fucking job? Don't you have any powers at your disposal to be like, hey, man, maybe this is a stain on the greatest deliberative body that has ever existed, the fucking Senate. You know, that's the way they used to promote it.
All those questions at this point.
Senator Durbin, thank you very much for holding this hearing and for elevating the issue of hate crime. It's regrettable that as I sit here, have experienced the very issue that we're attempting to deal with today. The introduction of foreign policy is not how we keep Arab Americans or Jewish Americans or Muslim Americans or Black people or Asian Americans, anybody safe. This has been regrettably a real disappointment, but very much an indication of the danger to our democratic institutions that we're in now. And I deeply regret that, and I do hope that my testimony today has been helpful to understanding the need to respond to hate.
Over the weekend, I went to a synagogue in my hometown of Springfield. There was a bar mitzvah for a dear friend of mine. I couldn't help but notice the security guards that were posted for this bar mitzvah. In addition, I went to a meeting where a dear friend of mine, a Jewish friend of mine in Chicago, she's been my friend and worked for me for 40 years, was almost in tears over the anti-Semitism that she has witnessed. She was wearing a Star of David around her neck, and she said, I do that.
What is going on? He's like, hey, nice of you with your anecdotes about, well, not even an anecdote. Love that you fucking came. By the way, thank you, Barry Balls, for the 100 community gifted subs. I'm in the midst of fucking watching American Congress rip an Arab Muslim woman to shreds at a fucking committee hearing held specifically to, you know, that hate. I apologize to the chatters who keep fucking repeating that I got 100 gifted subs, but now is not the time, you think? Maybe for me to acknowledge that and celebrate it? Shut the fuck up, chatters. Thank you. Thank you, Barry Balls, for the 100 gifted subs. Bro! I can't understand how we're just moving on from what just took place at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on combating hate crimes, where a sitting senator did hate crimes back to back, like sequential. He comboed hate crimes against an Arab woman. This is insane.
Because I won't give up. I won't give up. I thought about it for this hearing, but I also thought about Wadia, a 6-year-old boy. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. I love her like life itself. I cannot imagine this poor little boy answering the door and losing his life because he's Palestinian. My God, we can't see those things that I've just said in the same sentence without some people saying, oh, you've just chosen sides. I'm not choosing sides here.
He's talking about one of the first Islamophobic attacks that took place when a landlord fucking stabbed his tenant to death.
Except for the side of, I hope, common decency and democracy. We've got to have this conversation. We've got to do it in a civilized manner. I regret some of the things that were said today at this hearing, but we are a free nation, and that's what happens in a democracy. As sad and as disquieting as it may be, that is part of it. The title of today's hearing was inspired by Dr. King's.
By the way, he said your head should be in a bag. Here's Zaid Jelani. A week ago, Ted Cruz posted an image claiming that Haitian immigrants were devouring people's cats, a claim that has been boosted by neo-Nazi groups who marched in Springfield. Now he's upset about anger and hate, especially anti-Semitism, if you believe
but when
that.
it comes to anti-Semitism, the Democrats have a problem. I would note, this is occurring in blue states with blue governors because the Democrat Party is terrified of the pro-Hamas wing of their party. In states like Texas and Florida, we don't allow this. At the University of Texas, when violent protesters threatened Jewish students, police officers arrived and arrested them. That's what happened when you enforce the law. Every Republican member of this committee asked the chairman to hold a hearing on anti-Semitism in February. And yet we don't get a hearing on anti-Semitism. We get a hearing generically on hate because this administration, and this is the kind of anger and hate that is encouraged. You're now seeing the hate manifesting right here. Interestingly enough,
Please, the committee will come to order. The senator is recognized to finish his remarks.
So we now have.
I hate this country, dog. Straight up. Like, I hate our politicians so much. I fucking hate our politicians so much. Oh my God. Oh, we're such a fucking bad nation. We are such a goddamn shit stain on this fucking planet. Just a parasitic force of evil, dude. Holy fuck. Our politicians are such godless, soulless, bloodless fucking monsters. Every single one of them. It's gross, dude.
A demonstration of anti-Semitism. We have a demonstration of the hate. Rabbi Goldfelder, let me ask you, has the Biden administration cut off the funding of any of the colleges that have allowed this hate? Have they indicted anyone for funding these violent protests? Have they indicted the people paying for the matching tents? Or have they sat there silently, and have the universities sat there silently while their students are terrified to go to class?
They have not indicted anyone.
They have not indicted anyone. Has any university had their funding cut off for allowing this sort of violent intimidation?
Not a single university.
The violent intimidation is saying that our tuition shouldn't go to planting like, and defending an apartheid regime, by the way, the unimaginable violence, this apartheid regime that has nothing to do with Judaism, mind you. But hey, we'll bring a fucking rabbi here to be like, no, you don't understand. Actually, all Jews love Israel. Okay. And it's objectively anti-Semitic to say anything but the fact that Israel has to keep prosecuting this genocide. The only violence that has taken place in these fucking protests is the counter protesters have come in and beat the shit out of the student protesters. We've been there. I went and I visited the encampments. I showed you what it looked like. Scumbags, all of these people. Counter protesters and fucking cops. That's the only time actual violence took place.
I can tell you this, next year,
Senator's
if there
time
is a
has
Republican
expired.
majority on this committee, you will see real leadership. And next year, if there's a Republican administration, you will see people prosecuted for this sort of violence. This is being tolerated with the looking away, the blind eye being turned from this administration and this Department of Justice. And it is utterly disgraceful. And under Title VI, any university that allows this should have their funding cut off.
Senator's time has expired.
Once again, this is supposed to be combating hate, and the only type of hate that they perceive is just saying that America's ally Israel is an apartheid state, which is objective reality, and is doing a genocide, which is also objective reality. That's anti-Semitic hate. Not the Jews will not replace us guys marching to the fucking streets. Those are very fine people. How dare you? How dare you? You know, those are some very fine Nazis, man. How dare you? This is fascism, dude. Largest U.S. cities saw record hate crimes surge. Yeah. The problem with the hate crime, data now is that the most the most ADL is the institution that tracks all the anti-Semitism data. Unless they're getting this directly from the police, which is crazy to say. Well, I guess it says Houston saw 85 hate crimes in 2023, a massive 193% increase from the year before. The problem with the anti-Semitism hate crime database is that if you say fucking Palestine, free Palestine, it's logged as a goddamn hate crime. If you say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that's a hate crime. In New York, anti-Jewish hate crimes rose 12.6%, while Los Angeles saw a 48% jump, and Chicago experienced a 10% increase. Anti-Jewish hate crimes, which spiked in the fall of 2023, following the violent conflict in the Middle East, have supplanted Black Americans as the most targeted group in America's 10 largest cities. Of note, anti-Black and anti-gay hate crimes were the second and third most common. Anti-Jewish hate crime is likely to reach a record when national data is released by the FBI this year. Anti-Muslim hate crime, which also had significant spikes in the fall in larger cities, likely will hit its highest since the middle of the last decade. If you were to fucking talk about like anti-Muslim hate crimes, okay, what constitutes as a hate crime that is anti-Semitic is much different than what constitutes a hate crime that is Islamophobic. For example, what that senator did in that meeting is a hate crime, okay? And a real hate crime, not like saying free Palestine is considered a hate crime. But by a lot of standards, by a lot of metrics, what he did would not be considered a hate crime. And what those protesters that were doing in the seats saying free Palestine, that would be considered a hate crime. Just so you understand how this fucking data looks like. I did read it. It said anti-Muslim hate crimes also jumped 22%, 40%, and 300% in the same cities, respectively. Anti-Muslim hate crimes jumped 300% in Chicago. Where are the hearings? Bro, they're doing a hate crime hearing, and the first thing that they chirp about is literally fucking doing more hate crimes. You're conflating hate speech and hate crimes here. You're getting mixed up. Dude, what are you talking about? The ADL definition considers saying free Palestine to be a hate incident, okay? A hate crime, an anti-Semitic hate crime. I know what I'm saying. Yes, hate speech is often a hate crime. It doesn't have to be like, you know, stabbing a person and saying that like you're stabbing them for their background or something.
I want to shift to another topic. I've been talking to allies of former President Trump who are frankly outraged. They're alarmed that
Yeah, Vance says he does not like the comments Laura Loomer made on Kamala Harris's Indian heritage. Here's Vance also committing a little bit of hate speech right here, okay? Get ready for it. Brilliant guy. Generational run for just, you know, a dude that people hate more every time they see him.
Donald Trump has been traveling with Laura Loomer. She is someone who says she supports white nationalism. She spread conspiracy theories, including that the September 11th attacks are an inside job. She recently said that Kamala Harris, whose mother was Indian, if she wins in November, quote, the White House will smell like curry. Senator, you are married to an Indian American woman. What was your reaction to hearing those comments specifically?
Well, Kristen, I want to go back to what you said about Haitian migrants to begin with, because you didn't give me a chance to respond. Look, we don't blame the Haitian migrants for coming to Springfield. We blame Kamala Harris for opening the American southern border and inviting 20,000 people to get dropped in a small Ohio town. Now, you asked about Laura Loomer. Look, Laura Loomer is not affiliated with the Trump campaign. She said something about curry in the White House that I first read about this morning, actually, because I knew that you would ask me about it. Look, Kristen, I make a mean chicken curry. I don't think that it's insulting for anybody to talk about their dietary preferences or what they want to do in the White House. I think what Laura said about Kamala Harris is not what we should be focused on. We should be focused on the policy and on...
Yeah, that's what she was saying. That's crazy, bro. You have no respect for your wife, like, straight up. You're such a piece of shit. You're such a cowardly little fucking dipshit. You don't give a fuck, dog. That's crazy. Bro, his wife is literally an Indian woman, okay? That's just straight up like she being like, oh, she's Indian. She smells like curry. That's what she's saying. It's like entry-level racism that like a 12-year-old would say. But what are we doing? You think it's actually about the dietary preferences? But wait, there's more. Speaking on dietary preferences.
The issues, not what we share preferences or what they want to do in the White House. I think what Laura said about Kamala Harris is not what we should be focused on. We should be focused on the policy and on the issues. And look, so yeah, do I agree with what Laura Loomer said about Kamala Harris? No, I don't. I also don't think that this is actually an issue of national import. Is Laura Loomer running for president? No. Kamala Harris is running for president, and whether you're eating curry at your dinner table or fried chicken, things have gotten more expensive thanks to her policy.
There's nothing funnier than him being like, yeah, I'm actually going to be anti-black racist as well. Like, why did you say fried chicken there? You couldn't have said hamburgers? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? Like, how bad can it get, dude? He said, I don't think we should be focusing on what Laura Loomer said. But honestly, my criticism of Laura Loomer is that he also didn't bring up fried chicken. Because Kamala Harris is not just Indian. She's a black woman as well. Like, that's literally what he did. He just turned around and was like, here's my trick. I think we should be more diverse in our tactics of racism. That's awesome.
Let's talk about the person running for president of the United States, not a social media personality who supports Donald Trump.
Senator, were you and your wife offended? And do you disavow those comments that even some Trump allies say are blatantly racist?
Kristen, I just told you I don't like those comments, and I think that we ought to be focused on Kamala Harris's policy failures. I also don't look at the...
She didn't even say nothing about the fried chicken comment. She would have moved on. J.D. Vance recently topped this performance, if we can believe that. Wait, what? No fucking way. There's no way he topped that last performance.
Kamala Harris has been chaos all over the world. She can't answer a single question without sounding like a whatever. And she has led, she's had this...
Hello?
Now, by the way...
What the fuck's he saying? What is this man on, bro? He drank the dumbass juice. Like, every time he's on camera, it is alarming how bad he is at his job. Alarming. Libs of TikTok spreads falsehood about Haitian immigrants in Pennsylvania. A Republican state senator who's a fan of Libs of TikTok is like, hey, that's my region. What you're saying is not true.
With close to 500 patriots in the state of Michigan in this building right now and outside, I'd like to see an assassin try to come in this room. They come to the wrong place if you try to walk into this place right now. By the way, with close to 500 patriots in the state of Michigan in this building right now and outside, I'd like...
Bro, he's so lame that even like psychos who want to make a name for themselves give enough of a fuck to kill him or attempt to kill him. Like, ain't nobody trying to kill you, little bro. It's not happening, okay? Stop begging for it. He's like, come on, please, 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 please. It'd be so sick. That's crazy. When you're such a loser that people don't even care enough to try and kill you. Also, if somebody tried to kill him, or if somebody successfully killed him, Trump would celebrate.
Come in this room. They come the wrong.
Trump would literally celebrate if somebody tried to fucking kill him. If he actually was killed, he would be like, oh, thank God, dude. Thank God I made a mistake. Also, here's Donald Trump.
The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans.
The hate crime shit is going to get so much worse, by the way.
You said this, quote, Trump makes people I care about afraid, immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. God wants better of us. This week in Springfield, buildings were closed because of bomb threats. Haitian immigrants say they are afraid for their lives. Are you now doing the very thing you once called reprehensible, Senator?
Well, first of all, Kristen, we condemn all acts of violence and all threats of violence. But, Kristen, the reason that I changed my mind on Donald Trump is actually perfectly highlighted by what's going on in Springfield, because the media and the Kamala Harris campaign, they've been calling the residents of Springfield racist. They've been lying about them. They've been saying that they make up these reports of migrants eating geese, and they completely ignore the public health disaster that is unfolding in Springfield at this very minute.
Senator, what about the Haitian immigrants who say...
I mean, the media's not calling the Springfielders racist. They're calling you racist. They probably should call the Springfielders... I mean, it's probably better that they're not calling the Springfielders racist, because Americans get really touchy about that sort of thing. Like, you'll have a dude fucking, you know, reciting their new copy of Mein Kampf, and you'll be like, hey, man, what are you, a fucking Nazi? They'll be like, whoa, 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 how dare you? Excuse me? I'm simply reading the prominent works of a German author. I'm a goddamn patriot, ma'am. Nothing funnier than just like objectively racist white people in America getting so fucking ass mad when you call them racist.
It's just to me discrimination and xenophobia and bigotry and racism.
How scared are Haitian immigrants in Springfield after hearing former President Trump's claims?
They are scared for their lives. Some of them are asking me, even yesterday I got a friend calling me asking me if he has to leave because he's scared for his life. So another friend told me that it seems that he would have had some family coming to visit him, but it seems that he gonna welcome them in Columbus or Dayton because it is not safe right now for him in Springfield to welcome his family here.
What do you make of these claims? What does it feel like to hear politicians make these false accusations?
It's very shocking and sad at the same time, especially coming from people seeking the high office of our land, high-ranking people. I think they should do better. They have everything at their disposal to check the veracity of anything that they hear. They say that they are high-educated people who attended great university. I mean, they know how to check something to see the veracity of it.
J.D. Vance has some more wild shit in this interview. Oh my God, what else?
I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon this threatening letter that basically said, we're going to arrest you if you platform Donald Trump, who, by the way, is the likely next president of the United States. So what America should be saying is, oh, if NATO wants us to continue supporting them, and NATO wants us to continue to be a good participant in this military alliance, why don't you respect American values and respect free speech? Excuse me, it's insane that we would support a military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech. I think we can do both, but we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our Europe.
He's like, no, you have to let people say and do hate crimes. Like you literally, it's not even just about like American free speech. You have to be able to openly sig heil in Germany if you want our support. Now, of course, that's really fucking stupid for him to say because, like, obviously our loyalty to NATO goes above and beyond and far beyond whatever, like, either party is fucking saying at any given moment. You know, as you know, there is always bipartisan support for American imperialism, and NATO, of course, is one of the most consequential vectors of said imperialism. Was it even NATO? He said EU? No, he's talking about NATO. You are an L. Shut the fuck up. Oh, hell yeah. We got some fucking Republicans in the chat. Imagine having to defend this guy.
I'm not going to go to some backwoods country and tell them how to live their lives, but European countries should theoretically share American values, especially about some very basic things like free speech. The leader, I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon.
That's awesome.
Because Donald Trump believes, Kristen, let me finish this point, Kristen, and feel free to follow up. Donald Trump is the only person who brought Springfield to national attention and is the only president who's going to fight for the residents, not just their right to live.
What's really funny is Donald Trump brought Springfield to national attention, and also now they're getting bomb threats. It's kind of wild that he's just like saying, this little town that fucking sucks and I hate them, even though they're my constituents, and I haven't served them well, is now in prominent display of the entire American Nazi movement. And now they're just getting consistent fucking bomb threats. Why? Because I fabricated stories about the Haitian migrants there, you know, in an effort to get people to pay attention. What did they do after they started paying attention? Bomb threats.
Safely in their communities, but for their right to complain about what's going on in their own community. I think it's disgraceful that Kamala Harris has heard these complaints, has decided to call people racist instead of actually trying to make their lives better by undoing her open border. But I know you had a question.
Well, and Senator, again, because we're almost out of time, but Haitian immigrants are saying they're afraid for their lives. I want to shift to another topic. I've been talking to allies of former President Trump who are frankly 20 in place. What I hear you're saying is Obamacare stays in place. Let me move to another topic. There was a lot of attention, as you know, this week on former President Trump's baseless claims about migrants eating pets in Springfield, Ohio, claims you first shared online, Senator, earlier this week. Local authorities now say there have been no credible reports of migrants hurting pets or animals. And in fact, neo-Nazis are now taking credit, frankly, for pushing these rumors mainstream. Why are you continuing to double and triple down on these baseless claims?
Well, two important points here, Kristen. First of all, I have heard firsthand from...
It's like two important points. One, those neo-Nazis are my constituents. Two, weirdly enough, those Haitians are not my constituents, even though they technically are. Two important points. Have you considered that I'm a fucking Nazi?
Multiple constituents, people who made 911 calls a month ago, a year ago, who were making these complaints. I trust my constituents more than I do the American media that has shown no interest in what's happened in Springfield until we started sharing cat memes on the internet, which is disgraceful that the American media ignored this town. And that's the most important part.
Bro, you're the senator of Ohio. Like, Springfield being in a fucking state of disrepair is like directly your fault. It's so weird. Like, how are people just acting like he's not the senator? Like, he is not. Dog, you are not some random guy. You are the fucking senator, dude. Like, beyond the goddamn mayor, okay, and the governor, you're like the third responsible guy, okay? You and the fucking representative representing whatever district it lands on are the guys who are responsible at the federal level to bring back funds to Springfield. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, how are you just openly shitting on your own state? Why is nobody asking this question? Like, are you talking about Kamala Harris being the fucking border czar? Okay. And that's valid. I mean, the arguments that you're launching against Kamala Harris are invalid, or the arguments against immigration are invalid. But using that, saying that, like, she's the border czar. She's responsible for the problems that I perceive of immigration. Like, okay, well then you're the fucking czar of Springfield, dog. You're the fucking Ohio czar. Except you're not the Ohio czar. You're the Ohio senator, the term we actually use. You were voted. You were voted into power.
Kamala Harris's open border, Kristen, has led to skyrocketing housing costs in Springfield, rising rates of crime, rising rates of communicable diseases. They have dropped 20,000 immigrants into a town of 40,000, and it's caused a host of social problems. And we should be talking about why Kamala Harris has done this to this small town, and the media and the Democrats ignored it for an entire year. Kristen, I was talking about this on the Senate Banking Committee months ago. Nobody would pay attention to it until we start.
The other question I would ask is, it's your state. You're lying about them spreading communicable diseases. It's like insanely racist that you're saying that. But also beyond that, it didn't seem like you had an issue with bringing in migrants from other states into your project that you launched in Appalachia, the startup farm project that you launched, just like you didn't have a problem underpaying the employees at the time, and then also replacing them with migrant help. So which is it? Like, what's going on here? Because in your personal life, you have done this. You've done the thing that you're complaining about in Springfield, and especially in Springfield, there was a need for extra hands. There was a need for help. That's why the Haitians went there. Whereas you brought in a startup to an area, and then you bust migrants into the area specifically because you didn't want to fucking, you felt like the white Americans weren't doing the job.
Started sharing the 911 calls of people in Springfield saying the migrants are eating the geese.
And yet,
I think that's really, really shameful that no one cared about it or paid attention to it.
And yet, Senator, officials, the mayor, other local officials have said there's just no evidence of what you're saying, that it's baseless, those claims. Can't you just make your argument about immigration without making those claims, Senator? Why not just make an argument about immigration? Why do you have to delve into repeating these baseless claims that, again, Senator, have been repeated by neo-Nazis?
Kristen, I hear you saying that they're baseless, but I'm not repeating them because I invented them out of thin air. I'm repeating them because my constituents are saying these things are happening. I mean,
but
just
there's no
yesterday,
evidence.
a video came out of a migrant 30 miles away eating a cat. Clearly, these rumors are out.
I like that he just like quintuples down with more fake shit. He's like, no, dog, that's not a real thing that happened. You saw a video, and because you're so goddamn racist, you went with, well, racist and also fully aware that no one will actually care in your constituents. I hate this shit so much, dude. They're such ginormous pieces of shit. The worst part about it is that, like, this is a solid thing to do for immigration. There are so many parts of this country that are in a state of utter disrepair. And, like, the real goal should be integration programs and, like, allowing a lot of these migrants to go there and, like, revitalize these towns. It is a success story every time it happens. There's not a single fucking instance where, like, migrants came in to a state or a city and then that fucking city went to shit. It's actually capitalists that leave the town behind that turned this into a state of disrepair. That's why there's so many forgotten ghost towns in this goddamn country. And then migrants come in, and then they work the jobs, and there's, you know, they are the necessary labor force. And then the town starts increasing its taxable revenue, which is exactly what happened in Springfield. 33% increase in taxable revenue in Springfield, Ohio, year over year. Okay. And then now they have more funds. If they don't use all of those funds on the police, even though they usually do, some of those funds go back to fucking community programs and things of that nature, fixing the potholes and the like. Okay. And slowly but surely, these towns actually end up revitalizing themselves. This is precisely what happened in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. This is what's happening in Springfield right now. But these guys are so fucking racist. These guys at the tippy top, Mr. Mine Lolly, right here, they're so fucking, I mean, JD Vance himself is just doing racism for a very specific reason. He doesn't give a shit if someone is Haitian or not. He doesn't give a shit if someone is Indian or not. He went to fucking Yale, okay? He's a goddamn Yale graduate. He had a trans best friend. He called Trump Adolf Hitler like 4 years ago. What the fuck are we talking about? Or not 4 years ago, in 2016, 8 years ago. He's a goddamn grifter. He doesn't give a shit about any of this stuff. He just knows that there are a lot of fucking right-wing idiots out there who will go, hell yeah, brother. It's actually not my boss that's stealing my dollars. It's actually the goddamn Haitian migrant down the street. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. Okay? You're a dumbass. That's it. These guys weaponize racial animus like this to move people away from the main point of contention, like the top of the hour ad break. Okay? They just don't want you to be reminded that at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. Now, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Okay? J.D. Vance got a former professor to delete a blog post Vance wrote in 2012 attacking GOP over anti-immigrant rhetoric. Yeah, it's the careful, mate. That foreigner wants your cookie. That's the Rupert Murdoch meme. That's it. It's a story as old as time, okay? This is precisely at the heart of the problem. You're experiencing it right now. It's happening right now. So you're maybe hopefully noticing how this works. An example I used to use, or something I used to talk about with like Sweden being insanely anti-refugee, insanely anti-Muslim. And they still are, by the way, but they got this way because of austerity. Okay, they got this way because of austerity. Some of the social safety nets that they used to rely on became increasingly worse. And in that process, a lot of these right-wing charlatans who wanted to make racist, right-wing, anti-immigrant narratives, they flood the market with like anti-Muslim, Islamophobic bullshit. It worked really well. The real problem, obviously, was austerity. It's so funny to think that like this kind of like tribalistic sentiment is the oldest trick in the book, and yet people still just refuse to reckon with it.
Damn, this guy's good.